Ground-type Pokémon trainer. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101, Preliminary Selection of the Top 16, Part 1. Isn't it possible? Saki's expression showed that everyone knew what it meant, causing the three women to blush in embarrassment. After calming down, they realized that the other party was just joking. We just met. How could we fall in love at first sight and have a good impression? As for Itokuro and Kudo Shizu, they have known each other for almost 2 days, and considering what happened when they first met, their relationship is pretty good. The most important thing is that Itoguro has a good personality and is simple and straightforward, so Kudo Shizu has a good impression of him, so Saki teased him. Saki waved her hand and said, "It's very interesting. Your expressions are so cute." Okay, I won't tease you anymore, but it's really a bit funny. Liu Xin came back from studying with Itoguro. He can control emotions and soul very well. When the girls saw them coming back, their faces turned even redder. "Do you still care?" Liu Xin was a little confused. He touched his head helplessly and sighed. Itoguro had no choice but to pat him on the shoulder and said with a bad smile, "You can do it yourself, Ganba. The resurrection match will be completed before 6 o'clock in the evening, and the top 16. The selection will start at 8 o'clock in the evening." At first, Liu Xin was worried that he would not be able to see clearly at night, or that he was cheating. However, after seeing the scene in front of him, he completely gave up such thoughts. There are lights everywhere, and even the competition venue is shrouded in light. Although it does not reach the level of light pollution, you will almost be blinded if you stand there for too long. And the audience, there is no need to think about it. Every place is full of people. It is simply a huge crowd. Chacha felt a little uncomfortable. Her fearful personality was completely revealed. She hugged Liu Xin tightly and trembled all over. Although Moriaxiang was a little sad, everyone understood that Hatsukura was not pretending, but it was true. She sighed, and Yachuan smiled and said, "Are you jealous? Sometimes love just happens like this, so you have to be careful. I have my own sense of discretion, and besides, it's simple, so I don't care." Moriaxiang glanced at the girl. Bayan finally withdrew his gaze and placed it on the playing field. The host excitedly warmed up the show and then began. "We finally arrived to compete in the top 16. Are you looking forward to it? Exclamation mark. Excited! Exclamation mark. The scene was roaring, the crowd was shocked, and it was very lively. The number of tourists and people in Lamperki is really large, and the beach is very lively at night. There are 2 match points in total. The first match point is half an hour, and there is a 10-minute break between them. Okay, let's not talk nonsense. The selection for the top 16 begins." It was really surprising. In the 16th group, directly 16 groups. Although they are held together, the competition venue is the most indoor. It is very deserted here, and the audience and atmosphere are weaker than outside in all aspects, but it is still not small. Hatsukura let out a long sigh. "Fortunately, there are not so many people here, otherwise I really wouldn't be able to play the game." It is still the same Linoop, but Saki and Morianka have changed Pokémon. Yukora released her thorny shell, while Moriaxiang released the giant claw crab. The opponent whistled and said, "They are all beauties. How about you play with us later and win this game?" It turns out that we have 6 grown men here, but they are not as tall as those 2. Mousebrat is lovely, right? Yuchuan looked at them and sighed helplessly. "If you are really handsome and have a good character, we will probably appreciate you without you calling me." TSK, 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 TSK. Guys, it's okay if it doesn't look too good, but its character is not that good either. It's a pity. After Hayaki said this, the 6 adult men in front of him gritted their teeth and said, "What a sharp-tongued little sister. We will definitely want to ban all of you." After his opponent released his Pokémon, Liu Xin immediately viewed the data and obtained the 3 Pokémon that needed the most attention. Fire-breathing camel, Kadora, dragon-headed gopher. The fire-breathing camel's appearance is mainly orange-red, with fair skin near its mouth and 3 bright blue circles on each side of its body. The hump on its back has a rocky structure that looks like a volcano. It has 3 tufts of hair sticking up, hooves on its feet, and its eyes are more energetic than before it evolved. It belongs to the earth and fire attributes. It has a strong fighting spirit as soon as it comes out, and it is not simple in all aspects. The second Kadora is short, with dark grey skin and sky blue eyes. The back is covered with several pieces of steel armor. Each piece has a crest protruding in the center and circular holes on both sides. There are several flat protrusions on the lower jaw, and there are only 2 canines in the mouth, which are extremely sharp. Each foot has a pair of angular straps. The upper one is dark grey and the lower one is silver. Bedora snorted and stood next to the fire-breathing camel, which felt quite oppressive. The third dragon-headed gopher has a stronger body, a dark brown body, and a white face. There are 2 red lines on the cheeks, and the tip of the nose is still pink. The dragon-headed gopher has several steel-like sharp claws on its forehead and both legs. Its abdomen has 3 spindle-shaped red marks of different sizes. There are also spindle-shaped red protrusions on the dragon-headed gopher's cheeks, sides of arms, and knees. Even if you don't use the system to check the values, everyone knows that these 3 guys are not easy to mess with. Itaguro made a quick decision. Although he felt a little sorry for Ladder, he still changed it and let the metal monster appear. After the metal monster and Kadora looked at each other, their eyes were filled with fighting intent. It seems that there is quite a bit of combat conflict between Pokémon of the same attribute. The crocodile doesn't care. These guys are just like that in its eyes. Liu Xin sneered. You will definitely regret playing with ground-type Pokémon in front of me. Flipping a coin determines the kicker. Obviously, according to Yachuan's luck, the opponent will naturally start. Give them a good kick, but Dora uses the iron head. Sensen's head, which was already shiny metal, is now even more shiny, covered in steel, and has extraordinary strength. The ball he shot out was high and powerful, completely different from his opponents in the previous trials, and the gap was clear. Itaguro took it first and shouted, "Metal monster, use the same attack to defend." Although the attack power was not as high as the opponent, he was able to steadily defeat him. But the moment they hit him, a figure suddenly appeared in the arena in front of them and began to intercept the ball. It's the dragon-headed gopher's dig. It was too fast. This light and weak attack was immediately launched, and no Pokémon could react at all. Chapter 102 Preliminary Selection for the Top 16, Part 2. I can't get it. That comes from the opponent's confidence in his own strength. The leader's receiving and serving speed is smooth and incredibly fast. Unless you crouch down, you won't be able to catch it. But they forgot one thing. The crocodile's figure appeared under the ball. No, it's impossible. Question mark? Even his teammates couldn't believe it when he got there. I didn't expect you to greet me at first, but it's a pity that the ball is gone. The crocodile looked at the suspended dragon-headed gopher with a malicious smile on his lips, and the movements in his hands were ready. Shake the sand. The sand was stirred up, the volleyballs mixed in the sand, and attacked the dragon-headed gopher heavily. The volleyball was getting closer and closer, but this time it was the leader gopher that was trapped and helpless. He had no time to fight back, and the counter-attacked volleyball relied on reaction force. Strength and speed have been improved by more than one level. Bang! Or thud was heard, and the dragon-headed gopher was knocked down hard, falling to the ground and fainting. Damn, when did you get there? The man retrieved the dragon-headed gopher and released another Pokémon. Unfortunately, it wasn't as powerful as the first. A Rumbler Stone, a ball-shaped stone-like Pokémon. Its skin is grey, harder, and bumpier than before evolution. It has 4 arms, each with 3 fingers, and it primarily uses the 2 longer ones to lift things and the 2 shorter ones to defend itself from attacks. In addition, it also has 2 very short legs, but instead of walking on its feet, the Rumbler Stone often curls up its 6 limbs and moves around by rolling around like a ball. After solving one problem, seriously deal with the next 2. Wow, I don't know who said we were going to get a clean slate. but we got a point early on. Yacha and Zyabo provoked these big guys, making their faces look ugly. The opponent said coldly, HMPH, 1 point at most, no more. Immediately after serving, the fire-breathing camel extinguished the fire in one fell swoop, directly exploding the flames on the hump, and the powerful explosive force was accompanied by terrifying flames. From a distance, it looks like a meteor, beautiful and powerful. Of course, they can't just sit back and act. The crocodile became interested, but for some reason it suddenly appeared. All his teammates were shocked. Is this the characteristic of your gangster? Itohei noticed it at first glance, and asked in a low voice. Liu Xin nodded. Yes, this guy has the characteristic of stealth, and can completely sneak away. When sneaking, all values are converted into speed, so the speed is very ridiculous. The crocodile is the pursuit of speed reaches the extreme. No wonder the bull can be caught. It's terrible. Itaguro said helplessly. Pokemon of this type are always strange, especially in terms of characteristics, which are even more unexpected. Armor-piercing fire, purple aurora, and the current invisibility. The bastard crocodile on the battlefield stomped the ground heavily, and dust flew around, spinning around the bastard crocodile. Now, sandstorm. Liu Xin shouted, and the dust dancing around the crocodile suddenly rose, forming a terrifying sandstorm, and sweeping away the meteorite ball falling from the sky. In the blink of an eye, the volleyball was swallowed up, and everything including the flames disappeared. There was only a sandstorm that rose into the sky and hit the opposite side. It is so spectacular that this sandy land is simply a paradise for ground-type Pokémon. However, the opponent will not take advantage of it at all. Liu Xin said proudly. How is it? Compared to me, a ground system expert, you are still far behind. The sandstorm caused a lot of damage, and also disrupted their thoughts and vision. When they woke up and reacted, the volleyball was constantly spinning on the ground, rolled, and scored again too. 0 The bastard crocodile scored again by himself. How cool. Yukoi looked at the crocodile's back, and said in an infomaniac manner, I suddenly thought that your crocodile is so handsome. He turned the tide, and his attacks were casual, but he could hit the target directly. The 6 guys on the opposite side, I remember you said that you wouldn't score another point for us, right? Does your face hurt now? It was a hot slap, or twice. But let's talk, and I don't know how to refute, so I can only suffer the disadvantage of being dumb. Wait for me. Not to mention the trainer, the Pokémon were all angry, and glared fiercely at Crocodile. The elder brother yawned and waved his hands, as if nothing had happened. Go back to the corner, and make yourself relaxed and casual. But no one will let their guard down. This guy's too dangerous. Yoshi, we can't rely solely on gangsters to get results. We also have to fight back. The level of the top 16 has really been reached, and it is extremely fierce. There was back and forth at every venue except here, where we lost 2 goals in an instant. The referee looked at the time. It was only 5 minutes. It was too fast. Unheard of. This bastard crocodile is not simple. If you spit fire again, I don't think the crocodile will accept it. The crocodile was too lazy to pay attention. He had no interest in what was coming again and yawned. The hairy sheep continues to output and uses shock to delay it, reducing its power and speed. Then he turned to the thorny shell to act. The thorny shell shrank, then turned and pushed back. He quickly retracted into the shell, spinning at high speed in the sand, waiting for the opportunity. The dust in the sand was rising, almost creating a huge crater, and the speed was getting faster and faster. The volleyball is like a downed plane, going out of control. That's it. Take off. Jayabari believed in his teammates and Yachuan wholeheartedly. Bang. The sound came out, and the bang caused by multiple frictions was really terrifying. After hitting the ball hard, it flew straight into the dark night sky without a trace. How is this calculated? The referee waved his hand and said, as long as the ball doesn't leave the court, it doesn't count. If this happens, if the ball doesn't return to the court within 3 minutes, it will be a loss. He was very thoughtful, and could even budget for this. It seems that this situation has already happened. They sneered. It must have turned into a star in the sky and disappeared. How could it fly back? The audience didn't believe it. It seems that this kind of ball is a foul ball. After all, it is too hard. Haven't you seen the strength of the thorny shell? It feels like the friction is almost causing sparks. Is it scary? Everyone hesitated. Don't believe it. But the teammates smiled knowingly and said, really? Then I wonder if you can follow this little meteorite from outside the sky. The entire body of the sphere was filled with fire, sweeping up airwaves from all directions and accelerating its descent, turning into a meteor. Question mark? Chapter 103 Preliminary Selection for the Top 16, Part 2. All the beings around were waiting to see their joke and decided that they would lose this game. How could such a ball fall on the field? It's a joke. However, don't be afraid of anything more than 10,000. When everyone was watching the fun and relaxing their vigilance, the dark night lit up in an instant. It was as if an aurora was splitting apart throughout the night, with tiny lights shining, and then extremely bright fireballs protruding from it, shining in all directions. The surrounding cyclones were involved, and their power continued to grow. Look at our attack with bolides and nuclear bombs. Kurosaki raised the corner of his mouth, looking at the volleyball that returned safely, feeling proud and happy. Obviously, the attacks designed and guided by Liu Xin were very useful. He looked at Liu Xin curiously. How on earth did he come up with such an attack method? Liu Xin simply used the bolide from the Little Elephant era to conceive it, but he didn't expect it to actually succeed. He had many thoughts in his mind and said to himself, if the time comes to use bolide, then the damage and attack range will be thinking of this. Liu Xin's heart began to heat up, and he had a deeper understanding of future planning. No, it's impossible. It's obviously just a volleyball match. Why is it like a cultural show? The referees stared with wide eyes and didn't know what to say. He aimed at the enemy's playing field and there was no mistake. As long as the ball landed perfectly and safely, Liu Xin and the others would score. Now it depends on whether the ball can fall safely or be caught by the opponent. But can this ball really be caught? The ultra high temperature brought about a terrifying cyclone, and under the intertwined wind and fire, the power doubled and doubled again. No one refuted the claim that this was a real meteorite. Damn it, pick up XX, run. Who dares to catch the ball? This attack will be incinerated before it gets close. Quickly retreat. Narrator. Everyone eating melons had an ominous premonition and whispered, we do it. Do you want to back off a little? What does it mean when gods fight, mortals suffer? I have some experience, because before he could finish his words, the entire arena exploded, and meteorites fell to the ground. Not to mention the flying dust. The fence that was splashed was also burned in an instant. The wind mixed with the flames continuously spread out, giving a feeling of continuous beacon fire. When everything is calm, the opponent's field has turned into a sea of fire. Why fight? So spectacular and powerful. The surrounding spectators had retreated far away, but they were still accidentally affected. Obviously, the extent of the damage caused by this attack was quite large. As for the opponents, they fled and waited until everything calmed down, before looking at the playing field and tremblingly saying, madmen, a bunch of madmen. If something hits us, we won't even know if we will go straight to the hospital. I started to feel that I didn't dare to continue playing. Mom, I'm scared. The referee was stunned. What should he say? He stared blankly at the destroyed site in front of him. Nearly 1/10 of the arena had been burned, and the dent was extremely serious. Can we continue to compete? Obviously it is impossible. Even if the game continues, it will be very difficult for the opponent, which is unfair. But these are all operations carried out by Liu Xin's team on their own. Can they not be counted? Tangled, extremely tangled. The host's contact person walked over. It would be strange if such a big movement was not attractive. What's going on? Here, what's going on? Did a bomb explode here? In the distance, only the terrorist explosion and the sudden brightness could be heard among the noisy crowd. How do you know the current situation when you arrive at the venue? I was still in shock. It took half a month to decorate the competition venue and most of it was destroyed all at once. Kurosaki coughed lightly and said, referee, there's still the countdown, right? 20 minutes have passed. I don't admit that when you are arguing and doing these things, it doesn't count as playing time, smashing the field. In this situation, I still think about the competition. Sure enough, the referee did not stop the countdown, so the match continued. The opponent was unhappy when he heard this and shouted, "You want us to play on a hole like this? It's so capricious and deliberately aimed at embarrassing us." Angry and unhappy voices came out from the opposition. But at this time, there was no need for Liu Xin and the others to speak. Someone helped to refute. "It's funny, this is an operation performed by others. Can they do it? You have the ability. You talked so much nonsense and now you are crazy, BB." Their performance and attack just now were so amazing that everyone couldn't help but applaud. What the enemy said was all nonsense. They took it all in their eyes. How could they be wrong? The opponents were speechless. What could they say? Now if you speak casually, the other party won't laugh at you, but the audience. Silence is golden. It seems to have some meaning. Continue the game? Just kidding. They looked at the still burning flames, and how dare they break in. All the Pokémon tried to extinguish them with water, but to their surprise, they became more powerful. Is it reasonable? It's very unreasonable. We surrender and admit defeat. We lost this game, the opponent said without hesitation. There were only 7 or 8 minutes left. Even if the game started properly, the score would never recover. It's better to admit defeat cleanly and prepare for the second match. As long as they win the second game, they will have a chance to come back. Don't we think that your Pokémon can always be in such good shape? We'll see. We are bound to win the next round. After saying that, they didn't even look back to discuss countermeasures. Itaguro just recovered from the shock and stammered, Liu Xin, did you just see the shooting star?" He had the same expression. "What? How did you do it?" "I want to learn too, Sister Yukora, can you teach me?" Yukora Saki looked at the two boys with exactly the same expressions. She couldn't help but complain that they really looked like a couple. But she started to change the subject, looked at Liu Xin with interest, and said with a bad smile, "Do you want to learn?" "That's a pity. I don't know how to do it. After all, this is a trick." Liu Xin taught others. "I want to know. Just go and ask Liu Xin." In an instant, many eyes fell on Liu Xin, not only the eyes that were curious to learn, but also the sharp killing intent. "Liu Xin, when did you whisper to Sister Yukora?" Moriang Xiang walked towards Liu Xin step by step, his eyes fiery and full of hostility. Chapter 104, Big Improvement, the gangster crocodile strikes again. Liu Xin covered her face in pain and said bitterly, "Yachan, please stop fanning the flames. I'm just telling you what Barlide's idea is. It's up to you to make it happen. Don't just shoot randomly." My face is Horso. Ohatsukura I walked over and helped apply Yukidaoji's ice cubes to his face. She whispered, "This is what Xiaoxiang asked me to do." In fact, she was just impulsive. "After the game is over, we can properly apologize, okay?" Did Liu Xin really do something wrong? He didn't do anything wrong, but the little girl said that he had made a mistake and had to admit it. Man, it's difficult. Liu Xin tilted his head, nodded, and said, "Okay, it's almost time to start the game." The referee said, "Due to venue reasons, we may need to change the location of the competition, and after the battle just now, more and more people are interested in your game, so there will be a big upgrade." Yukora Saki's face turned slightly red, and he said excitedly, "Is this true? You must not know what a big upgrade means when you come to the competition for the first time. This is one of the highest honors. Ours, the competition venue, the scale of the competition, and the quality of the competition have all been improved. For example, now, during the introduction along the way, they completed the location transfer from the innermost venue, from the outside to the inside. This is a high-level venue. The sand is both soft and hard, allowing for better mobility, and the friction between multiple bodies on it will reduce damage, improving the quality of the venue. When the light shines, it is no longer a dazzling display, but becomes soft and gentle, but not dim. Very comfortable. Has the venue been expanded a lot? Is this the venue for the quarterfinals? Liu Xin watched, grabbed a handful of sand, and asked in surprise. Yugoazaki snapped his fingers and said, "Bingo, you did well. This is a venue for the quarterfinals." At first, we would only be informed of great improvements after we won, but now I didn't expect it to be like this. We started after the first match. Look. Come on, our performance and strength have been recognized, and we want to ignite the atmosphere. A win-win approach. Sure enough, there was an endless stream of spectators coming to watch. At this time, there were only a few hundred people watching, but now there are thousands of people watching, right? It can be said that all the audiences from other places came here. This year is amazing. I entered the quarterfinals very quickly, and I saw the nuclear volleyball just now. It was very shocking, isn't it? I regret not watching it. I was in first place at that time. The glow can be seen falling on the spot, piercing through the darkness. I wonder if we can still see this? The atmosphere was very tense before it started. Everyone was gearing up and looking at Liu Xin's team in anticipation. The opponents entered slowly, but they were very excited. Yes, that's it. It's perfect to witness our victory in a place like this. Boy, are you ready to give up and admit defeat? Did you just suffer a loss and forget about it? Yugoazaki laughed and said, "Who said that we weren't blocked?" Later, instead of being defeated by us in an instant, we were blocked by us. So sometimes, don't just put up the flag casually, it will be fine soon. Also, the winner is the winner. The team must be us. Well, you are very happy to tell others not to raise the flag. In fact, there was a special host who came and shouted with a microphone. It's really amazing. I didn't expect to see such a big improvement in the top 16 teams, which is unheard of. The two teams are really evenly matched, and no one is convinced. But this tense atmosphere is the charm of our beach volleyball. So, let's keep our eyes open and see what kind of exciting match it brings us. The volleyball was broken, so we changed it to a higher level volleyball. When Liu Xin and the others bought it, everyone felt a lot heavier. In the new game, the ball is in the hands of the winner. It was a rare time to serve, and Itaguro said excitedly, "Give it to me." My metal monster just finished the game without much use. It was simply too unpleasant. So leave this serve to me. Metal monster clenching his fists and creating sparks from the friction. He showed his determination and fighting enthusiasm. The bastard crocodile stood a sideboard. He didn't really understand why he was so excited. Metal monster, use your telekinesis to hit the ball and then cannon it at them. The idea was very clear and the metal monster followed suit. With his telekinesis activated, the ball rose high and flew straight into the air, and his fists began to gather waves of light. Cyclones flowed, and wind and waves swept through him. Sand and dust flew, and terrifying power emerged from them. The entire body shines. The power is concentrated at one point, and the laser cannon model emerges. It must be precise. If you throw it too early or too late, your serve will go wrong. Stay calm and collected. At that moment, Itaguro and the metal monster were staring at the ball. Their power gathered a little, and a flowing sound lingered. That's it. Throw. Metal monster. With a roar, the light cannon barrel accurately hit the falling volleyball, drawing a beautiful trajectory. The sand was mercilessly blown away, and a ravine trajectory nearly a meter long appeared. The court opposite the target. Will it go out of bounds? It was impossible to go out of bounds. He calculated it perfectly. If the opposing Pokémon does not comply, this ball will be his victory. Run. Metal Monster and Ditto Hero nervously looked at the ball. But will the opponent be so stupid? They have long since abandoned the so-called underestimation of the enemy and despise it. They are frivolous with their mouths, but admit it in their hearts. Fire-breathing camel. Use fire breathing. Hit the high ball. The fire-breathing camel had already prepared itself, stood in the front row, and aimed at the ball. Focus on this moment. The hump on his back erupted at the same time, and the ultra-high temperature flames were as fast as a volcanic eruption. Without giving the slightest chance, it washed over and swallowed the volleyball carried by the cannon. Boom. There was a roar and a bang. The perfect halfway serve was performed, and all the strength was taken away. Sand Hippo, use Sandstorm. Don't think that we can't grow and learn. The opponent Sand Hippo used the same method that the gangster crocodile used before, and it was a more terrifying sandstorm. because the quicksand will continuously flow out of the hippo's body, intertwined with the scorching temperature. The resulting sandstorm will have a burning sensation. Interesting. The crocodile walked to the center of the field again, looked at the volleyball wrapped in a sandstorm, and shouted, signaling it to come over on its own. Chapter 105. Shining. It falls. The crocodile is standing in the middle of the volleyball. What is it doing? Is it planning to catch the ball by itself? That's crazy. Player Liu Xin's crocodile is kind of handsome. The audience excited. A single crocodile was able to withstand the attacks of 2 Pokémon. If it could really block it, the entire venue would probably be in an uproar, right? Yukawa's AOG was a little unsure and whispered, is it really possible? Liu Xin calmly said, I don't know if it's possible. I just believe in them. The bastard crocodile thinks it's possible, then I will support him unconditionally. This is a bond between them. The scars on his body looked even more ferocious under the light. This was the crocodile that had experienced a deadly fight, a little guy who was thought to have a short lifespan. But at this moment, the light blooming is more dazzling than anyone else's. He sharpens his claws. Both claws began to be covered in a layer of light, and his power increased greatly. Staring intently at the volleyball that gathers hot sandstorms and hits the ground forcefully. Dust flies, frantically drawing dust into the surroundings, and from a small sandstorm, it begins to condense. The little things add up, and although they are behind the opponent, they are not slow at all. Sandstorms appeared on both sides, raging everywhere, with strong winds and a strong smell of gunpowder. Liu Xin clenched his fists and said, come on, you bastard crocodile. All the teammates were watching the battlefield. This volleyball match whet the audience's appetite. The referee and the host almost had their eyes glued to them, gulping to hide their nervousness. It's coming, it's coming. Both sandstorms have reached their extremes. Watching them from a distance, we can all feel how enormous the energy contained in them is, and how terrifying the wind and waves are. About to collide. After saying this, the opponent shouted, throw. Crush them and let you taste the shame we suffered at that time. The sandstorm with the scorching cyclone rushed over forcefully. Come, like a flaming lion, fierce and domineering. The volleyball is constantly rolling and spinning inside, and its position is changing all the time. This is the most difficult part to judge. You don't know where it is, or when it will fall. Treat others in their own way. Liu Xin laughed. He was so naive. Did he really think that the gangster's methods were so easy to learn and imitate? You don't have the ball anymore. You are so bold and headstrong. This was the answer the other party gave Liu Xin, but reality slapped them in the face. The moment the sandstorm collided, there was no huge explosion as they imagined, but it began to merge along the trajectory and turned into a larger sandstorm. Moreover, the crocodile the gangster arrived at the Phoenix Eye area very quickly and coldly stared at his opponent through the storm. In the gap, you can see what's going on inside. Everyone started to feel something wrong. Unexpectedly, the two sandstorms did not collide, but merged together. Liu Xin smiled slightly and said, it's like a flow of water. As long as you move in the same direction, you can blend in perfectly. Sandstorms are like this. Just create a storm that moves in the same direction as you. Crazy, very crazy. I can actually think of this and it really blends in perfectly. Everyone in the audience took a deep breath. It was very powerful and very bold at the same time. This approach sounded ridiculous. However, Liu Xin and the gangster crocodile did it. What's the use of this? Isn't it possible that the bastard crocodile can still spin the ball? The opponent's question made Liu Xin laugh. He smiled and said, you're really smart. We really plan to do this. Do it. Crocodile hunter, take action. There was a sarcastic look in the crocodile dog's eyes. The surrounding wind and sand began to madly attack huge sandstorms. Dust instantly flew up, and various collisions and frictions broke out. The audience was frightened, and immediately backed away. The host asked in surprise, what's going on? What are Liu Xin and the gangster going to do? The conflict between the inside and the outside will lead to the final explosion of the sandstorm. At that time, except for the eye area, both sides will be impacted by gravel. And that moment was when the gangster came into action. Itaguro's metal monster and Yu Kawasaki's thorny shell knew each other very well and stood in front of them to protect everyone. On the other hand, the opponent doesn't know why. Bang! The conflict reached its limit, and a cyclonic sandstorm several meters high exploded. Gravel splashed in all directions. Although the damage caused is not great, it greatly affects vision and mobility. Suddenly, a figure was exposed to everyone's sight. The crocodile jumped high, breaking through all the sand and dust, jumping over everything. Bastard crocodile uses flying sand kicks. Using the power of rotation in the air, he kicked upside down. The newly broken gravel was absorbed and attacked along the feet. A direct hit. Perfect. The audience was stunned. After all, this operation was so amazing. Not to mention the opponents. When they reacted, the ball was already skimming and spinning on the sand. The goal was scored. It only took less than 3 minutes to get the first blood 1:0 Itaguro said excitedly. Damn, I really belong to you. The cooperation with the gangster crocodile is amazing. I would like to call you MVP. The teammates were excited, and he stood there, the stable gangster, his face full of admiration. The opponent was speechless. He looked at the still spinning volleyball and gulped. This is the third goal. They have already suffered 3 defeats from the bastards, each time using a different attack. What kind of monster is it? What else will you do next? Gritting their teeth and looking at the opponents in front of them, worry about the unknown arose in their hearts. The gangster crocodile is too variable and must be eradicated in advance, otherwise it will be defeated. The host looked at the goal and shouted, "It's Xin. It's the first time I've seen such a fast goal. Flowed smoothly. It's all done in one go. It's amazing. Hunter Crocodile deserves to be the MVP player. Bastard Crocodile? He is so handsome that I really can't resist his eyes, his movements, and his expression." However, something happened to the crocodile under everyone's discussion and praise. He fell heavily, vomited a mouthful of blood, and his face showed pain. Chapter 106 Essence and Blood, Survival in Despair. As the discussion around him heated up, the protagonist collapsed. The crocodile fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood, his face looking ugly. Crocodile bastard. Liu Xin was the first to rush over and use the system to observe his values, but there was no change. Sure enough, it is a health issue. The system's voice reminded again, "Host, the crocodile's strength and consciousness in all aspects are very strong, but the training value is too low. His life is too fragile, and his health points are disappearing all the time, so I advise you to give up as soon as possible." This is still the same sentence, still advising him to abandon the gangster. He couldn't do it, and the crocodile didn't do anything wrong at all. Quartz competition. This promise has yet to be fulfilled. Don't remind me of this matter in the future. I will never give up on the bastard crocodile no matter what. Even if he falls now, I will release him when the quartz competition comes. This is our promise to each other. There were tears in her eyes, but they were quickly dried. She picked up the gangster and said, "I'll take care of it. Wait. I'll be back soon." She couldn't say anything. If a Pokémon collapses, it will probably do the same. Yu Kawasaki wanted to win, but she wasn't thrilled about it. She comforted him. "I'm probably too tired. Let's go rest. It's okay if you really can't go back. We understand." He said the last sentence with all his might. Come out. There is regret inside. It's not that they can't win against their opponents. It's just that without Liu Xin, it will be much more difficult and there will be fewer variables. Liu Xin seems to be the core and soul of their team and is indispensable. System. Treat the crocodile quickly and use the best resources. Liu Xin took the crocodile to a quiet place, set it up, and began to use the system's treatment. The opportunity is seized once a month with the crocodile, but this is not a lack of physical strength, it is meaningless. But it can also relieve the crocodile's pain. What to do? How to do it? My heart was filled with anxiety and confusion. The system suddenly sounded, the loss of health cannot be recovered, but it can be made up for a little. We all know that ki and blood are inseparable from health, so we can start by replenishing ki and blood to prolong the crocodile's life, but it still does not solve the root of the problem. You will still die when the time comes to die. But Liu Xin didn't hesitate by it. Buy it directly, no matter how many points it costs. I promised you the gangster crocodile, and you can't break it, no matter what I say. Something, but he was warned not to say more about this. He sighed leisurely and listed a bunch of items for replenishing ki and blood, including herbs, pearls, and indeed skills. Of course, the most expensive thing is a piece of blood essence. There are different types of Pokémon essence and blood, and Liu Xin immediately found the crocodile essence and blood. The spot prices range from low level to ancestor level. Low level blood essence can be obtained with 300 points, supreme level is only 3000 points, but the price of ancestor level is unknown. What's going on? Why can't I buy ancestor level blood essence? The system warned, host, it's not what I said, it's really not worth it. Of the same kind, the vitality and blood values have been improved in all aspects, not to mention the intermediate and advanced levels. The essence and blood of the supreme level can also be used to comprehend special skills or abilities. After absorbing, it directly increases the attributes to reach the level of this Pokémon, the pinnacle of the race, known as the original. You only need to extract the blood essence of the ancestor level. Even if the host extracts the blood essence of the ancestor level from you, in addition to being strong, you will have a life. The value will still decrease, and you will still die when the time comes. So draw. Liu Xin gave the order without hesitation. I told you to smoke. There is no need to talk about it. Although I know it is irrational and wasteful, I just want to give the best to the Pokémon who follow me. He will leave me tomorrow. I will do my best to give them the best. The system laughed. I've never seen such a host. So, the lottery begins. Ding, 100 points are gone. Thank you patronage. Ding, 100 points are gone. Thank you for your patronage. Ding, 100 points are gone. Thank you for your patronage. The African physique was online, and 30 consecutive draws could buy a high level essence and blood point, but Liu Xin failed to hit anything. The most disgusting thing is that these 100 points only exist in two ways. Thank you for your patronage and essence and ancestral blood. Remind the host that he only has the last 1000 points left. The upstarts who were in the same Tenua are almost empty at this moment. The last 1000 points. Liu Xin had no way out, so he shouted, let's fight. The last 10 draws. Ding, all 10 draws are on. The first draw, thank you for your patronage. Second draw, thank you for your patronage. The third draw, thank you for your patronage. The fourth draw, thank you for your patronage. The ninth draw, thank you for your patronage. The 10th draw, thank you for your patronage. After 10 consecutive draws, the host did not receive any ancestral blood. No more, it's over. Liu Xin was a little at a loss, and said in despair, didn't I transform into a golden light? Didn't my luck improve? Didn't everything improve? Why did I still fail after 40 draws? I wanted to roar, I want to explode, but I have no way to vent. Looking at the crocodile lying in front of him, he clenched his fists, and for the first time, he felt helpless in his heart. The heartbreaking feeling made him clutch his chest and make it difficult to breathe. The system was silent for dozens of seconds, and then reminded, host, you still have a chance to draw the lottery, you can try. At that time, you will be given the reward for completing the ambush in the basement. As if to top it off, he looked at the familiar roulette wheel and said silently, I hope God will give me a chance. This is my only chance. And transformed it slightly. In the previous 3 draws, Liu Xin's luck can be said to have taken off. Can another miracle happen this time? He swallowed, adjusted his attitude, and shook the roulette wheel in front of him. Gilu gilu, with built-in sound effects. Ding dong, with built-in rotation. Looking at the roulette wheel, suddenly, a red light flashed, accompanied by cheerful music. Ding, congratulations to the host for winning the jackpot. Chapter 107, Rescue, Return to the Original. It is difficult to explain the red light. It may be better than gold, or it may be worse than gold. However, here in the system, red is the highest level reward. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the red reward. There may be many gold rewards, but there is only one red reward. Is it a waste of money to eliminate the disaster? After all, I spent so many points, there should be some benefits. the red reward appears, the lottery roulette is upgraded, a new roulette lottery is obtained, and a red light body protection is obtained. It is the same as the gold light body protection, but the red light body protection is more powerful. The ki and blood doubled, and the quality of the entire body increased greatly. What a terrifying surge of power. I feel the power flowing throughout my body. Liu Xin felt and absorbed the power, feeling comfortable throughout his body. He felt very comfortable and enjoyed this. Not only did his energy and blood double, but he also gained superpowers. Blood pupils. By using this eye, you can add a boiling state to the Pokémon in battle. Boiling state. The battle continues to be exciting, the movements are smooth, and the thinking is clear and open, without any side effects, but it can only be used for 3 minutes. Good guy. Liu Xin squeezed his eyes, and felt a little more blood red. Although this is determined based on each person's physical fitness, its effectiveness still depends on actual combat. But after Liu Xin figured everything out, he immediately opened a new lottery page. Because his main goal is not the so-called possession of the red light, but the blood essence of his ancestors. The new roulette is very simple and simply doubles the points. Twice, 3 times, 4 times, the highest is 100 times. I went, Liu Xin was completely stupid, the worst was double the guarantee. The system also reminded, the multiplier drawn in the past will not appear again in the future, and the current doubling is based on the number of points of the host. It seems that the host only has 100 points. On your body now you must be very lucky to draw. If it reaches 100 times, the host will have 10,000 points, but there will never be 100 times more chances in the future. It's easy to understand that what you have drawn will never be available again. The existing points will also be doubled. It's not like a shot in the soul, it's 100 times, right? Forget it. If you double it, you can get one more prize. Liu Xin did not hesitate, and spun the new roulette wheel. Ding ding ding. The sound effects have been improved, and the feeling is different. You get what you pay for, this is true. Liu Xin began to pray, do it 10 times, draw 10 times in a row. Anyway, my luck must have come. With the double possession of golden light plus red light, my luck has already doubled 20 times. After winning the lottery, 20 times will directly disappear. No matter how you look for it, it will no longer exist. The 100 points began to double, and became 2000 points. 10 draws in a row. After Liu Xin after finishing speaking, the essence and blood lottery began. Ding, drawing for the first time, thank you for your patronage. Ding, second draw, thank you for your patronage. Ding, the third draw, thank you for your patronage. Ding, the 9th lottery draw, thank you for your patronage. Ding, the 10th lottery, congratulations to the host for winning the crocodile ancestral bloodline. Hit. Liu Xin succeeded. He couldn't help but jump in excitement, looked at the bastard crocodile in front of him, and immediately gave him the blood of his ancestors. The blood essence of the ancestors only touched the crocodile's body, directly melted, turned into a blood mark, and entered the crocodile's body. In just a few dozen seconds, the crocodile's pain disappeared, and the flow of health began to improve. He slowly opened his eyes, stood up, and moved his body, feeling extremely comfortable. Liu Xin let out a long sigh, looked at him and said, fortunately, I finally succeeded, otherwise, I really don't know what to do. The crocodile knew that it must be thanks to Liu Xin that he could recover this time and become stronger. He didn't say much, but patted his chest. Crocodile bastard. Don't worry, kid, I will definitely repay you for such a great kindness. You won't be disappointed. Liu Xin just smiled, patted him on the shoulder and said, don't talk about these things. Living well is the key. If you feel bad about your health in the future, tell me immediately. Feeling better. Compared to before, all aspects of the body have changed a lot. The level was upgraded 3 levels in a row, and suddenly became the most advanced existence among all Pokémon. Level 35. Attack, defense, and special attack are all confused. The system explained, the ancestral essence and blood have completely strengthened the crocodile, so now its value has no upper limit, and no lower limit, and it is full of infinite possibilities. Hearing this, Liu Xin instantly thought of Zyos's Pikachu. The reason why it is called the Skin God is because it is unrestricted. It is powerful enough to match the mythical beast, but it is so weak that it will take several rounds to defeat a green caterpillar, which is very difficult. This is the case with the crocodile at this moment. Immediately, the concealment characteristics of the mixed crocodile were also greatly improved. The number conversion speed is not fixed, and there are infinite possibilities. Really looking at it, the most powerful thing about the mixed crocodile is the blessing of the crocodile's blood ancestors. Chaotic crocodile, level 35 attack, unlimited special attack, unlimited defense, unlimited special defense, unlimited speed, unlimited functions, stealth. Value conversion speed is not fixed, with unlimited possibilities. Ancestral bloodline blessing. Deal with treasures of the same attribute when dealing with Pokémon. It can cause 100% fear effects at first. If it encounters a Pokémon of the same species, it will ignore everything and suppress its bloodline. This means that, not to mention the rogue crocodile, even a king level rogue crocodile will have to lie down. How horrible. The essence of blood in the blood of the ancestors was so terrifying that it was almost like cheating. If you want to give all Pokémon their ancestral bloodline, wouldn't that mean that you can just take off? Host, please understand the current situation. You don't have too many points, and your luck is not very good. It's too difficult to extract the essence and blood of an ancestor. Liu Xin was pulled back from his fantasy. However, he didn't care at all and casually said, "Don't force these things. There's the best, no matter what. Don't be discouraged, you crocodile bastard." Because he felt like he was full of energy and ready to return to the battlefield after being completely washed away. He had no interest in volleyball games before and found them boring. But now it's different. He wants to win and do it beautifully. He knows that Liu Xin wants to win the championship and he must do his best to repay Liu Xin. This is what he has to do. Liu Xin said confidently, "Okay, go back now and scare them to death." Chapter 108 The Return of the King. It's time to declare the end of the game. Liu Xin's voice suddenly appeared and the gangster returned to the battlefield. Everyone looked at Liu Xin in surprise and said excitedly, "Is the bastard crocodile okay?" Well, although it took a long time, he came back in all his glory and became stronger. The claws are sharp and the auras exuding from their bodies are completely different. The opponent sneered, "So what if I come back? Do you think you can fight back?" There were still 10 minutes left, but the score was ugly 1:6. It's not that you Hayaki and the others are not strong. The main reason is that they are too strenuous. Without Liu Xin, they lack tactics. Relying completely on a Tokyo Otto, the most important thing is had Sakura AI. There were too many spectators present, and their gazes made her afraid to fight. She hid behind Mori Xiang, extremely scared. Merrily was trying to comfort her. It was like 4 against 6. No matter how powerful they are, it's of no use. Chacha and AI quickly shrank into Liu Xin's arms, feeling her trembling in fear. Liu Xin comforted her and said softly, "Don't be afraid, let's take it easy. Stay with UHMM. Sakura AI nodded obediently and merrily returned to the battlefield full of fighting spirit, feeling very unhappy with these guys. The host said excitedly, "The beautiful crocodile is back." It's no exaggeration to say that Liu Xin and the crocodile are the souls of this team, right? But can these souls save the situation? Points mean that a goal will be scored within 2 minutes, otherwise Liu Xin said indifferently, "A goal in 2 minutes? Bastard, teach them how to behave." Bastard. He roared, his eyes flashed with blood, and the ghost face activated. There were 3 ground Pokémon on the opposite side, and they were so scared that they couldn't move. The blessing of the ancestral bloodline is activated and has an outstanding effect on ground-type Pokémon. Pokémon with evil attributes on the opposite side also cannot break free and fall into a state of fear. Of the 6 Pokémon in an instant, only one, Kadora, remained awake and was not affected too much. But there was a feeling of unease inside him, and the other person made him feel very uncomfortable, with a very throbbing sense of oppression. Although he was only out for 10 minutes, why does it feel like this bastard crocodile has completely transformed? Let's play, right? Zio hey, keep serving, you can play as you like. The corners of Itaguro's mouth raised and he said, "Am I that kind of person?" Surf. The light cannon was fired and was already very well controlled. Attacking directly towards the fire-breathing camel, Dora roared. The fire-breathing camel petals hard to shake the bull. The bullet with the cannon's light barrel hit the fire-breathing camel perfectly. The terrifying attack combined with the previous consumption, the fire-breathing camel was instantly killed. What's going on? The fire-breathing camel that has been active and acting as a shield to weaken the defense has stopped moving. It actually remained motionless, standing and being attacked by the cannon. No one can understand it, not even the trainers. What's going on? What are you doing with your fire-breathing camel? You just lost a point. The fire-breathing camel is very active in the early stage and can definitely be fought to the end. Release a 3 gopher to replace the fire-breathing camel. Liu Xin sneered and said, "You dare to use a ground-type Pokémon. You are really looking for death." As soon as the 3 gophers came out, they were suppressed by the crocodile and felt fear. The suppression of ancestral essence and blood is really terrifying. Kidora uses alloy claws. Kordora roared, as if to demonstrate with the gangster crocodile. The claws flashed with a metallic luster and struck hard. The bull was hit with all his strength and rushed towards the gangster crocodile. As the first head-on confrontation began, Liu Xin calmly said, "Bastard crocodile, hit back." Looking at the volleyball rushing towards him, the crocodile was not afraid at all. All the teammates began to reminisce. Should we take this photo? After all, the crocodile seems indifferent. Liu Xin intercepted and said, "Believe it, it will never let you down." He did not attack. When it happened, he took action under circumstances that no one expected. The moment the volleyball and the gangster were about to come into close contact, his hands moved, and a bright light flashed. The attack was fleeting, very fast, and the force was perfectly absorbed and unleashed. Boom. Just one punch tore through the airwaves, bursting out with roars, doubling the impact. What a powerful punch. The audience's eyes widened in disbelief. Why? How can it be so strong? What an understatement. And he actually returned the ball twice. Korra, you must protect him. Use the iron head to give it to. Before he finished the order, he had already hit the target. But Dora was instantly killed in a single blow and flew backwards. When he looked, he was already unconscious. The volleyball fell to the ground. The crocodile fell to the ground, calmly. Score again. The bastard crocodile and Liu Xin were like the returning gods of war, unstoppable. They scored 2 points in just 1 minute. If this continues, overtaking will not be a problem. He reversed, and everyone cheered. This is exciting. This kind of competition is interesting. Hatsukura I whispered, the crocodile has become so powerful. What happened? It feels completely different from before, as if it has been reborn. It is because of the rebirth that the crocodile no longer has an upper limit. Liu Xin smiled and said, "I will talk to you slowly when I come back. Let's finish the game first." The opponent began to get frustrated and looked at the time. There were still 8 minutes left. According to the gangster's advancement, overtaking is not a problem. Captain, we can do this. After all, the power is in our hands. The opponent smiled, looked at the crocodile in front of him, and said with a light smile, "What an amazing guy. He's been beaten by you all the time. But if I don't give you a chance, I can do it. Do you still fight?" "What?" Question mark. The host noticed it at first glance and shouted, "The opponents are starting to find ways to attack them. If the crocodile is too strong, they will stop fighting and delay the time. Each serve can be delayed for 2 minutes. In this way, forget it. There are only 2 minutes left for Liu Xin and the others to chase points." But Liu Xin was confident. "Is it 4 points in 2 minutes? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 Unstoppable. Time is up. If the ball is not served within 3 seconds, the ball will be counted as red. The referee warned the opponent in front of him, but he was unable to intervene due to the time wasted earlier. The entire audience looked very unhappy, but they could understand it. After all, Liu Xin and the others were too powerful to win by conventional means. With a long sigh, everyone in the venue had already anticipated the ending. However, in order to make this despicable game a little interesting, the host expressed his doubts. Let's do the math. There are 2 minutes left for Liu Xin and the gangster. Can they create a miracle? After all, it's them. Saying this really makes people think. The audience was polarized. How is it possible? Do you think they are gods? 3 goals in 2 minutes. This is absolutely impossible. I'll make a bold statement here. I want Liu Xin and the others to win this game. And run naked on the spot. You're right, I'm with you. Humph, don't think that Liu Xin and the others are easy to bully. What does it mean to score 2 goals in less than a minute? 1 minute after returning? Anything is possible, especially them. At this moment, the atmosphere in the venue became heated again. As expected of a gold medal host, he did everything he wanted to do. Liu Xin sneered and said, look at the ball coming and return it. 2 minutes is enough. As soon as the opponent served, the crocodile had already taken off. The explosion happened in an instant, and in the blink of an eye, the ball had returned to the ground. Too fast. I didn't see it clearly at all. It was at most 3 seconds before and after, and it couldn't be more. Not to mention the opponents. Even the referees were shocked. The chaotic scene of the match fell into complete silence. It's not that I don't want to talk, it's that my mind is blank, and I don't know what to say. Itagiro and the others were like deflated balloons, fully prepared for volleyball, but they came back without even seeing the shadow. This greatly shortens the time. If this continues, the overtime will be more than 2 minutes. Misstep. When his opponent was distracted, Liu Xin shouted, go on, don't you like to waste it? Time is almost up. If you don't serve, it will be ours. We don't care. He made a fool of himself, served, and was instantly killed. If the serve is overtime, the opponent's points will be counted. I thought that I would definitely win if I spent time, but now it seems that it is simply fantastic. The opponent slapped himself, calmed down, and analyzed. It's just 1 goal. We still have a chance. Now 4:6 point. There was no defense just now. This time we have a good defense, and we can definitely intercept it. Even if it doesn't work, it can also have a delaying effect. After calming down and discussing countermeasures, they took off again. Strength began to build up, and he began to strengthen his Pokémon crazily. All kinds of enhanced skills are used to perform the most perfect shot. It's time for our star server to serve, and the platypus uses Fire Fist. In addition, its beak resembles that of a duck. The explosive flames it radiated could be felt all over the place. The high temperature burned everything around it, and the audience couldn't help but take a few steps back. The number of platypuses is sky high, especially after strengthening. It's even more terrifying. Unfortunately, the guy he faced was a crocodile. The bastard crocodile has no numerical value at all. It changes as the enemy changes. It can be evenly matched with the duck-billed fire beast in front of you. Fire Fist. The fist wrapped in flames was struck hard, and the moment it touched the volleyball, half of the playing field was lit up, and the sea of fire rose up. The fire turned into a tiger, roaring and roaring, holding the volleyball, and rushing towards the crocodile. The companions behind him shouted, watch out. Let's weaken this ball first and then proceed. The bastard crocodile decisively rejected them, and retracted his fists, forming a small vortex, which could be felt from a distance attraction. Wind and sand are blowing everywhere, and the wind is gathering. What is this? Crocodile actually used his fist to create a wind field, absorbing the wind and waves from all directions. Is this really something a ground-type Pokémon can do? The wind swept across the sand and everything swayed. Crocodile fist, and soon the small vortex grew larger and larger, and the terrifying repulsive force spread out from it. The power to resist everything and reject everything arises. Go, gangster crocodile. Power. Use the strength of your fists to gather everything you can to form an attack. This is gangster crocodile's perception attack method. You bastard crocodile. Roaring, the fist in his hand struck out with overwhelming force. The volleyball carried by the tiger roared and ran wildly. The fiery fist was so powerful that the vortex spread out, making the people around him unable to open their eyes. The fight is so fierce that it is impossible to get involved, and it is even difficult to watch. We used to see this kind of scene only in the top 4, but what is this today? The selection of the top 16. It's really possible. Let's cheer for such a wonderful battle. Platypus. There were voices from both sides shouting and cheering, expressing great affirmation and high praise for his strength and fighting. The opponent shouted, "Get out of my way. Little crocodile, you still want to resist, damn it." Liu Xin looked exactly the same as the gangster crocodile, arrogant and unruly, and said coldly, "It's ridiculous. You can't do it with such force. Do you want me to retreat? Hunter Crocodile, crush him, he's just a paper tiger." Hunter Crocodile's fist moved forward a little. In this evenly matched battle, any point would do. It's called a turning point. The flames outside began to crackle and sizzle. The platypus's face was ugly. He felt that the fire fist he released began to weaken, and the flames couldn't withstand it at all. On the other hand, the gangster crocodile raised the corners of his mouth. His eyes were full of fighting desire, and the blood in his body was boiling crazily. The repelling force on his hand is getting deeper and deeper. At first it was just repulsive, but now it's getting deeper. There are more and more cracks, starting to spread from the front to the entire body, and even the opponent can see the cracks on the back. Isn't it good? Question mark? This bad feeling is getting deeper and deeper loud, as if the shattering was about to become a reality. Boom. Before he could regain consciousness, the flaming tiger in front of him turned into sparks scattered all over the sky, and a fist hit the volleyball hard. Go. The opponent was shocked, and actually broke through. Question mark? When I wanted to catch the ball, it was too late. The ball landed with the sparks, and returned to the enemy arena, peaceful and peaceful. Another goal. Chapter 110 ends. I can't believe it. The process was intense and the confrontation even more exciting, but only a minute passed. The crocodile gathered its energy, punched, and scored in just 60 seconds. Can you believe it? The people watching the scene were stunned and opened their mouths in astonishment. The gangster shocked them again and again. From the beginning until now, being called a king is not an exaggeration. Bastard crocodile. Bastard crocodile. Bastard crocodile. There was overwhelming applause. I couldn't believe that they could actually make a comeback in 10 minutes. And the existence that can achieve this miracle is the unstoppable bastard crocodile who has returned. He calmly looked at the opponents in front of him. They had no fighting spirit. Although he opened his mouth and wanted to fight, it's only 5:6. We haven't lost yet. Kurosaki said excitedly. No, you have no chance. You can use 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes left to score, and then we will tie it with you. Then we have to go to overtime, General. Although the opponent didn't believe it, he still wanted to fight. There was no need for the gangsters to act. Kurosaki and the others cooperated, and it was too easy to score a goal. The overtime came as promised and ended with a ruthless spike from Marilu. Why did Molly reveal her hand on the last ball? This is to train Hatsukura AI to have no stage fright and be able to give basic instructions. However, after the order, Chuchu and AI could no longer leave Liu Xin's chest and hugged her tightly. Overcoming this will not happen overnight. It will take time. With Marilu's spike, the qualifying match for the top 16 came to an end. But the crowd did not disperse and even attracted other arena personnel. The IC referee announced excitedly, the 16th round. The top 16 selections have officially ended. Let's congratulate the winner, the red side. The shouts and cheers were like a wave, covering the venue in front of them. The shouts of the gangster crocodile and Liu Xin couldn't stop at all. The people in the countryside curiously asked, "What's your name? Isn't it just a gangster crocodile? Why are you so excited?" There are even gangster crocodiles in other arenas. How can a bastard who takes a step back inspire enthusiasm? He who doesn't know is not afraid. The audience who watched the whole process said excitedly, "Don't you know? Hurry up and surf the internet to watch the video replay." This game has not only been greatly improved, but also has a lot of match points. It's super passionate, super exciting, and super exciting. Hey, where's the person who just said he was going to run away? Is he about to start acting? Don't run away. I remember your face, and I will keep an eye on you. Take off your clothes or not. A pleading voice was heard, and he only said that he was on drugs. People who have undoubtedly become the target of public criticism. Yazudi, could you please give me a chance? I'm now 26 years old and still single. I'm here merely to get out of singlehood, not to make it harder for myself to get out of singlehood or double it. I'm sorry, brother Liu Xin. I was wrong, because I didn't believe you. I don't need to run away, right? This night was extremely crazy, because none of these arrogant people could escape, and they all ran along the shoreline. The picture under the moonlight is so beautiful that I won't describe it too much. Everyone came up to Crocodile and said excitedly, "Aren't you so handsome?" I feel like Crocodile is my male idol, and no Pokemon can compare to him. That's right, Crocodile can sign autographs. No, sign your name for us. Liu Xin, the owner, was already being chased away by the enthusiastic fans. He helplessly looked at the gangster in the crowd and asked helplessly, "Isn't it a bit crazy?" Zaoji shook his head and said, "Rampa is a tourist spot after all, and this kind of madness is an expression of excitement, which is even more relieve your own stress. The quieter the place, the crazier it is, just like here." Everyone nodded in agreement. Moriang snatched Hatsukura away and sighed, "If you encounter any trouble in the future, hold me and you won't be able to hold Liu Xin. Do you understand?" After teaching him righteously, Hatsukura simply said, "Why, yo. Feel more comfortable hugging you." Toguro immediately began to prick up his ears, intending to listen deeply. After all, this topic is not simple. Kyudojin jumped up and lowered his ears, narrowed his eyes and smiled. "Are you disappointed?" No. However, when a group of women came up to take a photo with Liu Xin, his eyes flew over. Wonderful. Zaoji, please don't get me wrong. I'm just afraid that Liu Xin is too thin and can't bear it. As the saying goes, a good brother cuts both. When he's in trouble, I must go and take responsibility. Oh no, go and help him. Kudo Shizu stamped her feet in anger and pouted. "What a man, you're a liar. I'm ignoring you." Moriang was still speaking seriously. "Teach, when you see Liu Xin surrounded, immediately run over. None of you can get close to Liu Xin, and how can you not resist?" Liu Xin couldn't express his pain. He was just an 11 or 12-year-old boy, so he was no match for these passionate young ladies. If he can't resist, then just enjoy it. Chuchunai hugged Liu Xin, plucked up her courage, looked at the young ladies around her, and said, "Only I can hug Liu Xin, but you guys aren't allowed." This kind of domineering tenderness really moved Liu Xin's heart, and she suddenly felt as if she had ascended to heaven. Seeing this, Moriang shyly hugged her by behind. She closed her eyes and said, "That's it. Liu Xin belongs to us. You can go." The enthusiastic elder sister said dully, "It turns out that I have a girlfriend. It's really boring. I originally wanted to teach you some nice things, but now it seems that I can't. But you must be happy to have two such cute little girlfriends, right?" After all the young ladies left, Hatsukura said. Both Moriang and Angxiang blushed with embarrassment, and they almost knew each other. They were buried motionless in Liu Xin's arms and back, and Liu Xin couldn't move. Liu Xin's expression was one of satisfaction, no different from ascending to the sky. If Tokuro said with envy and hatred on the side, "Zaoji, me too." However, Kyudao Shizuki pushed him mercilessly, and followed Kawasaki. Yuchiden smiled lightly and said, "It's really a hot and exciting night. Get excited, everyone." Chapter 111 Quarterfinals. With Liu Xin and her competition, the excitement level of the entire beach volleyball has increased. Didn't you say that beach volleyball isn't as exciting as Pokémon battles? Look at what this is. I used to think it was boring, but now you know what real skills are, right? And there are so many people on the beach. Liu Xin could see the overwhelming comments while lying in bed, praising the crocodile's outstanding performance everywhere. Many people even privately chatted with Liu Xin and asked what he and the gangster did in those 10 minutes. "Why is the crocodile so fierce after he came back. Anyway, there are all kinds of inquiries. Immediately, he began a training trip to train Crocodile. Everyone began to think that this Pokémon was handsome and powerful, but they didn't know that it was Liu Xin's crocodile. His bastard crocodile is completely different from other bastard crocodiles. There were also some people with ill intentions who directly reported Liu Xin, saying that he was fighting to the death against the gangster. Fighting to the death was completely forbidden, and it was the people of Kuai City who came forward to resolve the matter. At the Kuai City police station, the team working with Liu Xin continued to enlighten Liu Xin. It's really unreasonable. Do you think it was Liu Xin who fought to the death? No, we have to say this, fully answer for him, and let them know what's going on. That he was dying at that time. Even Miss Joai said that he is not as amazing as the future crocodile. Miss Junsha smiled slightly and said, that's because you are wrong. In fact, sometimes it is much better to treat heroes sincerely than to practice them all the time. It is indeed reasonable, but not everyone can copy Liu Xin's crocodile, and there is no pure ancestral blood copy. The beach volleyball match is very fast and compact. Before the internet fight is over, the next quarter-final battle is approaching. Only after reaching the quarter-finals did the real excitement begin. Early in the morning, Yu Chuanji gathered everyone together. What are you doing so early? Isn't there still 2 hours before the match? Itagiro rubbed his eyes, feeling very lazy. Chucha and AI instinctively found Liu Xin and hugged her, feeling dazed. Liu Xin silently stroked her little head and said, could it be said that our top 8 opponents are very powerful? Only with this in mind, is it possible to gather them in advance? Yuchiden nodded and said, that's right, our opponent is a championship contender. It has been predicted that the strength is 100% capable of entering the top 4. Itaguro said disapprovingly, don't talk about the top 4 teams, the guys we played against yesterday, didn't they all have the strength to enter the quarterfinals? So don't believe the data. We must believe in our strength, and Liu Xin has a backup plan. He directly put the blame on Liu Xin, and everyone looked at him. Unable to get off the tiger, Liu Xin sighed helplessly, I really can't tell you everything. It's good to be nervous. It's true that I have a backup plan, but it doesn't guarantee safety. And in the subsequent battles, I won't. The gangsters will be dispatched again. What? Question mark? Why? Everyone said in unison, it is clear that the gangster has reached the peak of strength and fame, but he doesn't show up. Without mentioning them, the audience probably couldn't stand it. Liu Xin was silent for a long time and said, the reasons for the crocodile itself. Although it is powerful, it can't continue to fight. You should understand it, right? Itaguro, Moriangxiang, and Hatsukura AI calmed down, nodded, and said, we know that you really rely too much on the crocodile. It's time for you to take a good rest. Everyone remembered the scene where the crocodile fell. What if it happens again? Everyone knew where the crocodile came from, and the scenes of the gladiator cage in the basement were vividly engraved in their minds. But Yukora didn't understand from the beginning. She bit her red lips and said, can't we really take action? Our opponent is too powerful. I think that only if the gangster crocodile appears, can we have a chance of survival. Impossible. Liu Xin categorically replied that he would not let him appear under any circumstances. Yukora's face was full of disappointment and he sighed. I don't know why I refused so firmly, but I won't say anything more. I can only try. Get ready, the game is about to begin. Itaguro smiled and said, don't worry, we still have our trump card, so we can't stop. They only saw the crocodile, but not Liu Xin's other Pokémon. Those guys were not sparing in fuel. The corner of Liu Xin's mouth raised slightly, giving a comfort. Losing has never appeared in my dictionary. Believe in your teammates, believe in us, believe in this team, we will definitely win the championship for you. Does he need this championship? Liu Xin's mission also requires this champion. The breeze was blowing, the sun was just right, and the entire beach was very comfortable. Liu Xin enjoyed this moment as the competition field was already at her feet. Just like yesterday, it was indeed hosting the quarterfinals. With yesterday's adaptation, they quickly began. Itaguro released his ninetales, touched her little head, and said, "Just cooperate with Gula Gula later to ensure perfect results." He cried out in understanding. He had a good cooperation with Caracalla before, not to mention the evolved form, Gala Gala. Liu Xin looked at Yu Kawasaki and said, "This game requires you to play damage, and we are the support, so you Sechinacea. Give them a nuclear bomb at the beginning." But Yukoi had some doubts. "Win. We will have it when the time comes, and we will not be able to hold on physically." Mori Yasuxiang patted her shoulders and said, "Sister Yukoi, I believe in them. After all, when we are a team of 3, they will definitely cooperate. No problem. You can take this opportunity to see the friendship between men." Liu Xin and Itohei smiled at each other. He said sarcastically, "Don't hold me back for too long. Remember how to do it." "Nonsense. I'm a Gula Gula now. Don't hold back." After the jokes between the two sides were over, the battle began. Flipping a coin, Liu Xin's red side serves. Then, let's give them a good start with the first ball. Gala Gala, use Bone Strike. Chapter 112. Amazing Gala Gala. Bone Hit. Gala Gala took a deep breath, calmed down, and looked straight ahead, like a cheetah hunting down prey. The bone stick in her hand has a crocodile-like operation, absorbing the cyclone. However, it does not absorb, but rather repels, repelling all the forces that impede the release of the bone stick. At this moment, the bone stick was so fast that it could not be seen clearly, and it hit the volleyball without any hindrance. The repelled airflow attached itself to the volleyball in an instant, forming an explosive force instead. As the top-seeded player, the opponent is definitely not that simple. Interesting, it seems like our opponent is not as easy to deal with as it seems in the video. I thought we were going to deal with that troublesome bastard crocodile today, but obviously not. This makes it a lot easier to fight, the host shouted. He said, "We are at this point." Liu Xin, who won a big victory yesterday, did not eliminate his favorite Pokémon, Crocodile. Why is this? Because he's worried that Crocodile will be completely. Did he study, or does he plan to spend a lot of time fighting for it? What about the battle? But Gula Gula is not weak either, and the ball it plays is very explosive, but it is not an ordinary opponent it faces. It's the Insect King's team. There is a connection between Camu and the attack methods. You can see it if you look closely. They are all bug-type Pokémon, none are different. 4 Alidus and the other 2 are Moru moths. Alidus looks like a spider, with only a head and abdomen, and its pupils are purple. A horn grows from its red head. It has bipedal legs. Its colors are yellow and purple, and it has tentacle tips on its abdomen. The abdomen is red and black like that of a ladybug, with 2 black spots on the abdomen and a yellow horn on the back of the abdomen. Since the abdomen and head are somewhat similar in shape, you may not be able to identify which side is the head. Also, Moru moth is a moth-like Pokémon. It has a purple body and a belly covered in white down. Its eyes are like blisters with black eyeballs inside. The mouth parts are 2 canines. There are 3 thin protrusions on the top of its head and 3 pairs of tiny legs on its chest. It grew 2 pairs of huge wings, which were covered with purple poisonous phosphorus powder. It doesn't look like much if you look at them one by one, but there's something special if you see 4 Alidus and 2 Moru moth at the same time. Alidus, spin silk. According to the standing position, spider silk is spun at the same time, and the links form a huge spider web with thick mucus. It looks very simple. Gala Gala's explosive serve was very shocking, but the moment it hit the web, all the power was taken away from it and it just bounced around for a while before sticking to it. What kind of ball is this? It's normal. This is the Insect King team's combat method and play style, and the game recognizes it. Immediately after the Moru moth's attack occurred, its wings began to flap, and purple poisonous powder was sprinkled on them. 1 Moru moth is not enough, so both ends are used together. Tangle the spider webs. Simply release the spider webs. The huge spider webs instantly wrapped the volleyball, and then countless poisonous powders were sprayed out. Fierce storm. The wings flap faster and faster, keeping the volleyball in the air, and slowly a giant hurricane appears. The airwaves were so terrifying that the audience couldn't open their eyes. Go. The sand was rolled up and looked like a sandstorm, but it's more violent and aggressive. There is poisonous powder mixed in. What a terrifying attack. Perfectly utilizing all the properties of the Pokémon on his team. The spider webs are still sticky, and you can't defend them. However, Liu Xin will always be an exception. Zhao, start acting. Itohei looked at the fierce storm. Not only was he not frustrated, he even shouted excitedly, "It's been prepared for a long time." Kyuubi uses the charged flame attack. All the tails were raised, the flames were boiling, and the eyes were dyed red by the flames. The phantom of his own enlarged flame appeared, roaring towards the sky, not caring at all in the face of the strong wind whipping at him charge. Every step on the arena emitted white smoke and endless flames. At this moment, the surface temperature of the nine-tailed flames was already so high that it made people palpitate, and they did not dare to approach. You don't plan to fight this fierce storm alone, do you? You're just talking nonsense. The opponent began to taunt, not meaninglessly, but wanting to carry out a certain verbal attack, which was different from the previous uncle's team who were purely verbal. Boom. The moment the flame-laden nine-tails hit the violent wind, the flames exploded in a continuous sequence. What's going on? It's a dust explosion. Although the poisonous dust is very deadly, there are too many poisonous dusts and they are perfectly integrated with the storm. The moment the flames ignite it, they will cause a terrifying explosion. The flames sizzled, the huge violent storm disappeared, and the volleyball wrapped in spider silk was exposed to everyone's sight. Despite this, you still can't defeat this ball wrapped in spider silk. As long as the spider silk wraps your body for more than 5 seconds, it will be considered our victory, given to the Insect King team specialized adjustments and regulations. However, Liu Xin laughed. Kyuubi, spark. A ball of flower-like flames erupted and attacked directly towards Gula Gula, leaping into the sky. What's going on? Are they even attacking their teammates now? Aren't they? Today, a change that no one expected occurred. Gula Gula waved her staff in the air and caught the sparks impartially. Flames burned fiercely on the bone rod, blooming with brilliant firelight and igniting the void. Gula Gula hit it back with the hammer. With an angry roar, she extinguished the burning bone stick in her hand, and the flames carrying it sought out prey, and the spider silk on the outside disappeared in seconds. The restrictive effect of the flames on the spider silk is too strong and obvious. Then, when Gula Gula took action, only the intact volleyball was left. Boom. A dull thud was heard, and the ball struck perfectly. It turns into a graceful arc, and hits the ground directly. Everything was unexpected, and the opponents were dumbfounded. Flames combined with bone clubs, and such an operation? It's so exciting. I thought this game would be nothing interesting without the crocodile, but this goal brought us a huge surprise. Chapter 113. First Gear 6. Strong, very strong. The goal was scored, and caught everyone off guard. It turns out that Gula Gula's bone stick can still be played like this, which is a great experience for them. The audience exclaimed, "Who could have thought of this?" It's simply a unique skill. The most important thing is to cooperate well with Gula Gula and Jiui. One spray is accurate and the other is accurate. It seems simple, but it is actually very difficult. It seems that Liu Xin, a trainer, is not only good at crocodiles, but can also make people shine, which is surprising. He announced the score, and began to stimulate the atmosphere. The crocodile's surprise has not yet dissipated for us, and there is another one. What kind of trainer is Liu Xin? He can actually train such an excellent Pokémon. It is really disappointing. I dare to believe it. Let's wait and see what kind of excitement he will bring us next. But the Insect King team looked ugly, not counting this, and losing a point like this. First of all, adjust your mindset. You must not underestimate the opponent, just because the opponent is not a crocodile. Be sure to watch out for Liu Xin's Pokémon, and catch Gula Gula to fight. Just come and have fun. So I have investigated all the teams. Their eyes became serious, and would aim for whoever was more powerful. For example, now that Gula Gula is powerful, everyone surrounds Gula Gula and attacks. It is guaranteed that you will not be able to attack again in this round. The moth is the key to this. It is a very ordinary and simple serve, but instead of hitting it with Gula Gula, it is Marilu. Marilu jumped high and then flicked her tail. The impact of this ball is not weak. Night Stalker. Alidus began to segment his shadow, making it look exactly like himself. Suddenly, a large number of Alidus appeared on the volleyball court, all performing similar attacks. There are more moths attacking in the sky, and there are no gaps in the sky or the world. This is a time to spin silk. Countless spider silks were woven, and even more moth wove silk threads. Basically, any bug type Pokémon could master this move. All the threads gathered together and pulled the volleyball directly out. The silk thread was thick and powerful, almost like a hand. He grabbed it and moved it at will, and then forcefully pressed it against the opposite ground. Scored. This goal was so unexpected that even Liu Xin, who had always been calm, was stunned. You can still play like this? Use spider silk to form a big arm, and then directly grab the ball and press it onto the opponent's sand. High, too high. Yukorasaki's eyes widened, and he asked in a daze, can we still play like this? It's like putting the ball directly on our side. Is it reasonable? The audience was confused, but the referee explained. Effective scoring. Our beach volleyball scores are based on the Pokémon's skills and skill attacks, and these are silk attacks, which are skill damage. It's really good. Directly use spider silk to condense it into an attack method, and then put the volleyball on the sand to score. Liu Xin and the others held the volleyball, and felt a little confused. They have always attacked their opponents. They never thought that their opponents would attack them. I was taught. It seems that we are still too young, and have too little understanding of beach volleyball. The Insect King team can attack and defend, and it is worthy of securing the championship. They no longer underestimated the enemy, and returned from their casual and excited attitude at the beginning. They said coldly, they will definitely attack my Gala next, so they will basically rely on you from now on. The opponent is not like Liu Xin had never used this method before, so he knows it very well. The giant claw crab springs into action. Its huge claws are not just decorations, but can unleash very terrifying attacks. Crab punch. The water surges, and more flows gather around the giant crab. The fist began to absorb, entangled with the water flow, layer after layer. Looking from a distance, extremely powerful energy was coming out, which made the audience around marvel in admiration. Move it forcefully, and concentrate all your strength on it. Nice line without much height. The other party begins to aim, and gather at a point to spin the silk. They must act at the same time. If the shots are performed in tandem, multiple people will touch the ball at the same time, which constitutes a foul. It seems that they have studied a lot of things for the competition. At least there are many things that Liu Xin and the others do not know at all. It was another perfect match, grabbing the volleyball and hitting it towards that side. Gala, counter-attack. Gala's speed was too fast, especially in the arena, giving the opponent no time to react. Immediately, power gathered in the bone stick, and then it struck the opponent head on. The action it made its opponent laugh. We have 6 threads here. Do you think you can defend yourself with your own strength? Are you too high on your own Pokémon and too much on Gala's power? Liu Xin believed in his Pokémon and calmly said, Gala's power and attacks are far more terrifying than you think. Defend yourself and prove yourself. With this intention in mind, he had long disliked these guys and actually used them attacking methods. Taking a deep breath, Gala concentrated all his strength on his bone rod. It's completely a game of knowing where the opponent is going. He can't be too fast or too slow. If he hadn't completed the attack, he would probably have scored points for the opponent. Knife strike. Gala calmed down and concentrated all his strength on his bone rod. A sharp blade of light appeared on its surface, which didn't seem weak at all. Power began to transmit, and then strength surged out, integrating with Gala's power. Act. The timing was perfectly controlled, and the strike was strong. At this moment, the bone stick is as sharp and powerful as a knife, and it shoots towards the 6 attacks. Boom. When they officially faced each other, the pressure increased dramatically, as if a mountain was pressing down on them. It was too heavy. It was difficult to resist. I felt a buzzing in my head, and was shocked to the point of dizziness. But he endured, and held the ball perfectly. He shook his head vigorously, and, after being forced to wake up, he roared and brandished the bone club. Gala. Chapter 114 Flame Protection. Gala Gala's roar completely shocked everyone. This was an all-out battle in itself. Although it looks very difficult from the outside, I don't understand if it is so difficult. But only the two warring parties know how difficult it is. All the companions looked at Gala Gala firmly, believing that it would work. The bone stick in Gala Gala's hand still shone like a sword, and although it was deeply sunk in the sand, it was unfazed. Get up step by step and walk out. Boom. Calm and powerful, it can be seen that Gala Gala's expression is not relaxed, and is under great pressure. 6 Pokémon attacked at the same time. If any of the Pokémon had fallen long ago, would it still persist like this? Indomitable will. Do your best to block the blow. That is what Gala Gala must do. Open it. Liu Xin roared. Come on. The power in Gala Gala's hands became stronger, and the strength in his hands increased again. Boom. The second dull sound was heard, and Gala Gala completely rejected the opponent's attack. The imperfect parabola attracted everyone's attention. The thread was completely shattered by the powerful thrust, and couldn't withstand the blow at all. How powerful. Seeing the ball fall to the ground, the Insect King team didn't speak, but calmly said, we still underestimated the power and attack of your Pokémon. But, does it still have strength? Of praise, worth noting? Very stupid, a waste of energy, and doing the most uneconomical thing. Liu Xin disagreed and said confidently, then you are too naive. My Gala Gala can definitely end this battle. The audience began to be a little unconvinced and shouted, although Gala Gala is powerful, it is far inferior to the bastard crocodile. You might as well let the bastard crocodile go. Wouldn't this game be over already? I'm so out of breath. Do you really think I can end the fight? There were constant doubts and screams. Liu Xin chuckled and said to Gala Gala, have you heard these guys' voices? They all doubt you. Shouldn't you show some real skills to answer them? This guy's fighting spirit has risen, and he's still angry. Are you all looking down on me and questioning me? Then I'll prove it to you. Kyuubi, help Gala Gala Kyuubi. With a roar, flames shot towards Gala Gala. This time the flames were more ferocious, directly burning his entire body. The audience was dumbfounded when they saw it. They had just seen the bone burning stick, and now it actually burned his entire body with flames. Isn't this a little scary? They couldn't believe their eyes at all, and the audience had some doubts. Isn't this a suicide attempt? However, Gala Gala's fireproof properties are no joke. Not only is it okay for his entire body to burn with flames, but from a distance, it looks more like he is wearing a flame armor, looking domineering and majestic. The bone club slams the ground hard, making a sound to provoke the opponent. At this moment, Gala Gala seemed very difficult to deal with and his opponent started to feel a little wary. However, the serve is not slow. What Insect King's team uses is the cooperation and agility between insects. They began to scatter to one side and cooperate with each other to attack. Their methods were very clever. At this moment they don't know what they are going to face. Gala Gala's entire body was burning with flames and he exhaled a mouthful of hot air. Seeing the volleyball falling, the bone club in his hand shone with light. Cut it in one blow. Quickly and accurately, the bone club in his hand flickered like a sword. Between breaths, only a bit of fiery red and a faint white light can be glimpsed. There was a blocking sound, but all the insects screamed, rolled around, and spit out silk. In fact, the flames passed along the white threads, burning them. If the damage is not stopped in time, the damage and attack will only spread throughout the body. They are most afraid of fire. Just because of the moment's hesitation, the ball fell, and another point was scored. Gala Gala scored 2 points in just 3 minutes. Everyone was shocked and stunned. A second ago they were mocking each other, but now, is it okay or not? For everyone to see. Gala Gala sneered contemptuously at the insects in front of her, and the flaming bone stick in her hand burned even more intensely. Kyuubi continued to increase the flame, almost like a small stove, and the two cooperated very well. Yukorosaka's heart skipped a beat. Who are these guys? Why is the combat experience, coordination, and training of Pokémon so amazing? Especially Liu Xin, despite being a Pokémon with all ground attributes, he still has some tricks up his sleeve. 3:1 The situation was leaning towards Liu Xin and the others. The Insect King team felt difficult for the first time. They thought that choosing this Linoop would be the most disgusting, difficult, and unsolvable team. However, at this moment it seems that is not the case. As long as the strength is strong enough and the methods are unexpected enough, it is easy to break their Linoop strategy. The Gala in front of me demonstrated all of this, using her own body to withstand the attack of 6 Pokémon. She has the spirit of having one man in charge and no one can stop her. Let's serve. I want to see how long this Gala can hold on and continue to launch such high intensity coordinated attacks. It's very difficult even for a team, let alone you. Dream. They had never been afraid of playing volleyball. Real death has been experienced, let alone this. Gala's fighting spirit rose, and she held the bone stick in her hand tighter. The bone necklace on the chest shines with a dazzling light, blessing the bone rod. Boom. 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 Amazing. We can see that Gala continues to rush out wildly, with no intention of stopping her movements. Winning 3 goals in a row, directly turning the score into 6:1 point. Gala won this game in one fell swoop. As the host boasted, the referee blew the whistle, and the first game was over. It ended with a surprisingly high score of 6:1. Gala was only able to compete with the entire Insect King team, and it really was a good match. Everyone couldn't believe it. They all withdrew their doubts and looked at Gala with admiration in their eyes. It was the same as when she looked at the gangster crocodile. This feeling of worshipping glory made Gala feel very comfortable. During the 10-minute break, Kurosaki couldn't contain herself. It's amazing. This is the first time I've heard of them being able to cooperate like this, Itaguro said with an indifferent expression. Calm down. Don't try this kind of cooperation lightly. After all, Liu Xin's Gala is a bit inexplicable, and the resistance the nature of fire is so elegant. If you try to imitate it, your Pokémon will turn into a roast chicken all the time. But only Liu Xin knew how difficult it was for Gala to gain fire resistance. It is very dangerous to put your own life on it. But recalling what happened in the special energy area at that time, Liu Xin couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth. It had been so long. Chapter 115 Goodbye Meteorite Impact. The halftime break was not long, and the opponent still had no intention of replacing the Pokémon. The reason why the Insect King's team is strong is that their team is stable enough and has good combat coordination, but it also has the disadvantage that it cannot be replaced at will. HMPH. After fighting for a whole game, we don't think Gala can still be so fierce. That's right. So we will definitely win this game. Liu Xin said helplessly. Do you think my teammates are just decorations? If Gala can't fight, can't my teammates fight too? From the beginning, it was planned to let the Thorn Shell be the main force. Now it's time to do it. The first is the throw. It's still a very simple throw. It is roughly wrapped with wire mesh and thrown. Liu Xin no longer defended, but shouted, Gala, use your energy to hit the Thorn Shell. What's going on? He concentratedly inhaled on the bone stick in his hand and released a cyclone mixed with a violent wind. A backhand bang rang out, a crisp sound rang out, and the entire volleyball constantly hit towards the spiny shell. The spiny shell begins to shrink and spin, and the attack is coming. The entire audience was a little confused. After all, this move of spiny shell only appeared in the first game. Therefore, many people don't know about it, and only old fans clearly understand the operation of the spiny shell. He shouted excitedly, it's coming, it's coming. Meteorite impact. You must open your eyes to see it. It's similar to meteorites and missile bombardments. It's super fierce. I studied on the bastard crocodile. The specific skills can be seen in front of you. Keeping things unchanged, can cope with the ever-changing situation. Be careful, it must be a trick we don't know. We have to be vigilant no matter what. The sense of crisis is very good, but it is a pity that this is not a simple spinning attack. It is explosive damage. Watching the volleyball slowly fall from the air, with a graceful arc, gradually approaching the thorny shell. The thorny shells kept spinning, and the sand was dented, turning into small pits. Yukora behind him was the one giving the orders, silently watching the volleyball in front of him, and calmly said, this is the moment. The thorny shell attacks. The high-speed rotation also absorbs a large amount of wind and waves, making the thorny shell appear extremely fast, and its attack power is even more terrifying. Boom. There was a dull collision sound, and the sand was rolled up one after another, as if forming a terrifying storm. The old spectators and the referee began to rush out, leaving far away. All the audience were a little surprised to see what operation. Why are you so afraid? Isn't it just heading the ball? Not so much. If you don't want to be covered in sand when you take a shower again, then stay away. Only when the attack comes will you know what shock is and what a real bombing is in Evil. The Insect King team even sneered with this kind of attack. Coincidentally, however, before the thought was finished, a flash of light appeared in the air and flew away. No, can you still tilt the ball? If they can't return within the stipulated time, will they get the ball for free? Seeing that the thorny shells were making so much movement, it turned out to be this. Letting out a sigh of relief, the last person who needs attention is Gala Gala. If Gala Gala doesn't take action, they don't need to worry or take action at all. But is it really that simple? The team that had been attacked by a nuclear bomb before was sitting in the stands and sighed helplessly. At first glance, it seems that they didn't see the Scallops game later. They will know what real terror is, and it's over. He suffered a loss. Only people know how terrifying it is. The Insect King team is waiting to score, but as everyone knows, what is waiting is the impact of a meteorite. Although it was daytime, they could still see the volleyball falling through the sunlight. This time they could see clearly. The high temperature caused by high-speed friction covers the volleyball with a layer of flames, and then there are numerous airflows applying temperature to it. From afar, it looks like a volleyball. No normal person would think that this is a volleyball, right? The Insect King team now realized that things were not as simple as imagined, but it was too late. Now they want to escape. Is it too late? The answer is impossible. The speed of this ball and the acceleration of its descent are simply terrifying. At the beginning of the volleyball, that they could see with the naked eye, there was no escape. Boom. The explosive performance begins. Those who had initially laughed at the escaping spectators and referees regretted it. They were blinded by the gust of air, and the violent wind blew in all directions. Some people couldn't bear it at all and were shocked. The scene looked very funny. When the dust clears, no one will be able to laugh. The playing field in front of him was instantly destroyed, and there were sparks everywhere. Although this damages the playing field, the rules do not prohibit it. All the Pokémon on the Insect King team were severely injured and fell to the ground. How could they still have the strength to fight again? The members of the Insect King team looked at the battlefield in front of them with lingering fear. Although sand splashed all over their bodies, it was not as shocking as it was visually. Anyway, no one on the scene could shut their mouths and let their hearts be at peace. It's terrible. The effects and damage caused are simply appalling. Liu Xin just smiled lightly and said, "Hurry up and prepare the next team. Time is still passing." In the midst of this kind of destruction, the referee was already prepared and reminded, time is still passing, and there are still 20 minutes left. There are minutes left in the match. 5 minutes. Unexpectedly, 5 minutes have passed since the start. In fact, the meteorite's impact is not slow, it just takes a long time to go crazy. The Bug King team panicked. They wanted to release their second level Pokémon, but they had no chance. As soon as the Bug-type Pokémon appeared, he began to run around avoiding the fire. The screams continued, and he was not afraid of the flames at all. Can he continue the game? Unable to serve, the serve expired. The serve continued to expire, giving Liu Xin and the others 3 consecutive points. The Bug King team members were about to mentally prepare their Pokémon for the fight. Gala Gala, who was wearing fire armor, roared angrily and hit the ground hard with a flaming bone stick to provoke fear. It's really terrible. All the opponents were frightened. Who dared to participate in the competition? No matter how invincible, all the Bug-type Pokémon will be timid before fighting. 20 minutes passed, and 6 goals were scored. Can it still be compared? Without any chance or possibility, the Bug King team finally raised the white flag and sighed. We lost. Your movement is too abnormal. It's not that we didn't do our best, but that you were too amazing. You must be convinced. We are very optimistic about you this time. Let's fight for the championship. Yukora Hayaki heard these praises and blessings and proudly said, "Don't worry, we will reach the finals with your expectations and win the championship." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 The final begins. I originally planned to use a few more barlight shots, but unfortunately the conditions didn't allow it. Forget it, one shot will kill them. If they shoot a few more times, wouldn't they be completely dead? The Bug King team is a little aggrieved. When they meet other teams, it won't be like this, right? It can be said that he was pinned to death. Liu Xin politely said, "You have cultivated Pokémon teamwork very well." I was surprised. It's just bad luck. After bidding farewell to the Bug King team, they began to prepare for the evening's semi-final match. Instead, Yugoro Saki relaxed and said with a smile, "Don't worry, the top 4 teams this time are not our enemies. The team we are facing is even weaker than the Bug King team. If we win, this game is just a piece of cake." Liu Xin and the others checked it out, and it was indeed true. The enemies they had to deal with at night were far inferior to the Insect King team. Even though they played 4 games, apart from the long time consumption, victory was basically assured. Because of this, the reputation of Liu Xin's team has grown completely. In the semi-finals, the 2 stadiums were in stark contrast. The host side, I have been hosting the semi-finals for so many years, and this is the first year that the audience disparity is so great. You can see that Liu Xin's team's venue is packed with people, as far as the eye can see, and there is no trace of the turbulent C2. But on the other side, there are only a few people. It's a bit difficult for thousands of people. It's deserted. Watching the game here is exclusively to see Liu Xin's cool moves. Apart from Crocodile and Galagal, these 2 Pokémon were completely accepted by everyone and became gods in a battle. So they came here to see the Pokémon Liu Xin in action. The volleyball semi-finals began, and Liu Xin did not let them down. In these 4 games, Liu Xin used her own big rock snake. The giant rock snake occupies half of the arena, and her opponent is a solid technical player with no cool moves and routines, so she suffers a lot. Every ball was mercilessly hit and crushed by the big rock snake. Do you have a bad temper? It is obviously a big rock snake, but its moves are surprisingly fast. Size came one after another, directly crushing Gaoje's competition. 3 victories obtained. Yukora Saki said excitedly, "Success. I originally thought it would be nice to enter the top 16, but I didn't expect to make it to the finals all at once. Having them as teammates is so happy. Come on, give your sister a kiss." Mori Anxiang and the others directly stopped her and said, "There is no need for 2 grown men. We'd better go back and rest early today, and we'll be starting to deal with the finals tomorrow." There was no match for the semi-finals. It's too interesting to watch because there aren't many passionate scenes, and it's completely crushed by the big rock snake. But the huge rock snake completely entered the audience's sight. They thought this big rock snake was too big and were a little envious. After some investigation, I found out that Liu Xin's Pokémon all have unique characteristics. Eye-catching rattles, giant rock snakes, crocodiles fighting to the death, and the last mutated little elephant that didn't show up. Well, why does it feel so heavy? Liu Xin was refracted by the morning sun and struggled to open his eyes, but he felt something pressing on his chest. Could it be those 2 girls who were approaching? Did he finally attack himself at night? Just as he was thinking about this, he lifted the quilt and saw an extremely terrifying scene. He covered the quilt with the back of his hand and shouted, "Destroy it." Not long after, Itaguro's struggling could be heard from inside the quilt. "Damn it, let me go, you're going to suffocate me to death." "Why would I do that? On you, you are." The screams came out, and the 2 adult men thought of each other, and soon alerted the girl in the next room. Since I had a free room card, I easily opened the door, and saw 2 men writhing against each other on the bed. Kudo Shizu covered her eyes, but still said naturally, "A man's passion? I understand everything." Mori Yasuxiang silently closed the door. It's early in the morning, isn't it good? Hatsukore I was very curious and asked, why are two adult men fighting with their bodies closed? Does it feel better like this? Just ask if you don't understand. Yuchuan was attracted early, rubbed his eyes, and said sleepily, what are you doing killing pigs so early in the morning? Unexpectedly, this guy screamed like a pig upon seeing this scene. He took out his mobile phone and took pictures with a click. Liu Xin and Otohei shouted, no, it's not what you think. It was Otohei/Liu Xin who did this. I'll go, it's obviously you, okay. The fight continued until the game started. Later, Itaguro found that he was really confused in his sleep and crawled on top of Liu Xin. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but touch his head and said, hey, what happened? I don't remember. The episode took a long time and completely diluted his enthusiasm for the finals. He stood calmly on the playing field, sizing up his opponent. Something is very wrong with his opponents. These 6 guys are not normal people, right? However, the female audience on the scene exclaimed, their eyes full of stars and said, Mr. Xiaote, you are so handsome. Mr. Xiaote, look here, look at me. The opponent slowly approached, very tall. He showed his white teeth and said carelessly, Kumagawa counter, please give me some advice. Liu's and the team that was going to compete with them in the finals had a completely different style from before. The 6 of them were all burly men, and the muscles on their bodies were as tanned as rocks. By wearing different swimming trunks, different muscle shapes are revealed and shine brightly in the sun. The most important thing is that they look at Liu Xin's evil smile from time to time. His teeth are so white that the sun can reflect them. Question mark? The host appeared and said with great excitement, finally, it's time to return to our annual beach volleyball finals. This time our finals include old familiar clients, the Muscular Man team and a newly promoted dark horse, the USA girls team. Let's wait and see what kind of exciting duel we will have today. Chapter 117. Battle against the male team. The finals begin. The Muscular Man smiled at Liu Xin and immediately released his Pokémon. It seems that not only is he a tough guy, but his Pokémon are also very strong. When a strange force appears, it hits his own muscles, which is very audible. The muscles of the entire body have been tempered thousands of times and shine brightly under the sunlight. The defense and attack are ridiculously high. Liu Xin clicked his tongue and said, I've never seen such a terrifying strange power. How did you develop it? The strange power is a Pokémon that resembles humans. It has the same skin color as Armstrike, and its skeletal and muscular structure is very similar to that of humans. It wears a golden belt like Haoli, and has a black pattern similar to the underpants. The red marks on its arms are gone. The biggest change was that it had an extra pair of hands and its feet were divided into 2 toes. There are still 3 tile-like protrusions left on its head. The eyes are reddish brown with black pupils, white and thick lips, and no ears or nose. There are many ways to practice strange powers, and the methods are endless. Different trainers naturally have their own training methods. These guys in front of them all know how to train without even thinking about it. If you let the Pokémon train with you every day, it will definitely not be able to escape. If you think about it carefully, it's not impossible to become stronger through such high intensity training. But then, something happened that surprised Liu Xin. 3 of them came out with such arrogant and powerful strange power. At the same time, he followed his master and made a smile to show off his muscles, and his muscles were shining brightly under the sun. Not to mention how strange this scene is. The other 3 Pokémon are equally muscular and look powerful. On either side stood an Iron Palm warrior. The Iron Palm Rikishi is much fatter than the Makushita Rikishi. His legs are thick and his hands are brown. He was no different from a sumo wrestler, but his body was even larger and looked very oppressive. The 5-headed Pokémon standing like this gave Liu Xin and the others a great sense of oppression. But the surrounding spectators shouted even more joyfully, loving the Pokémon in front of them so much. Mind you, they are more focused on the muscular areas of the macho body. Kumagawa finally released his Pokémon and smiled boldly. Liu Xin, do you know why I'm interested in you? Liu Xin immediately shook his head. I don't know, and I don't want to know. It's because of your rogue crocodile. When I saw your battle, it really made my blood boil, and I was very interested. Come out, rogue crocodile. The skin color changed from light brown to dark red. Its biggest feature is that it has a long and powerful jaw. Its belly is white, there are many black stripes on its body, and its hands and feet each have 3 sharp claws. The whole thing is much larger than the rogue crocodile, and its combat power is terrifying in all aspects. As soon as it appeared, it shouted at Liu Xin, "Rogue crocodile." The meaning of the words is obvious. Quickly release your bastard crocodile, and I will teach it to behave. Come out and let yourself be beaten. But Liu Xin said that, if he couldn't get into the gangster crocodile, he wouldn't do it. He shook his head and said, "The bastard crocodile is not suitable for action, so let him fight you." Liu Xin let go of the extremely bellicose Dunjia. He must not forget what he said before, and let him take the initiative. After holding him back for 2 days, the Dunjia finally appeared, its flame soaring with excitement. It roared angrily at the opponent in front of it. The mutated Dunjia instantly attracted everyone's attention, and turned out to be a mutated Dunjia. Recently, many mutant Pokémon have appeared around the world, but Liu Xin seems to be the only one who has trained them. Yes, it is said that mutant Pokémon have abnormal personalities in all aspects, and cannot be tamed by ordinary people. Also, that is to say, mutated Pokémon are a warning from outer space, and must not be caught casually. Everyone insisted on their own opinions, and whispered about mutated Pokémon. Liu Xin was a little surprised. Are mutated Pokémon so current? There are good and bad things, but he doesn't pay much attention to them. Aren't you going to release the bastard crocodile? But it doesn't matter. After 5 games, you will eventually release it, because there is a big gap in strength between us. Kumagawakauta raised the corners of his mouth, with a hint of contempt in his eyes, and waved, "Don't do so many useless things, just let them kick." The referee was a little surprised. Why? But, the rules are dead. People are alive. Are you sure you want to abide by the rules like this? Under pressure, the referee handed the ball to Yukoi Hayaki. He held the volleyball, calmed down, and said, "The victory in this game is a championship. We must win. Definitely. Let's play." The current server is handed over to Mori Yasuka. Mori Yasuka's giant crab is very stable in all aspects of strength and angle, and has improved to a higher level after yesterday's kickoff. Become the main server. The giant claw crab has sharp eyes and gestures with its giant claws, as if competing with those muscular guys. Giant claw crab, get the first shot right and use crab punch. The claws glowed with red light, and the force was instantly strengthened, absorbing the surrounding airflow and stably wrapping the giant claws. Find the right time and bombard hard. The entire volleyball was hit quickly and perfectly, and it was a beautiful shot. Good shot. It's a pity that you have no chance of beating us. Whaley and the others hit the ball with their hands. It was the first time they saw such a formal action. In the past, they used their skills to play volleyball, but with Whaley, they played normally. He put his hands together and used the protruding area of his wrists to push the ball so high. However, the moment the strange force leaped out, the sun was blocked, and his body was exposed. Smash. The target is the weaker Malalu. However, Itagiro used his trump card today, the burning horse. Under the scorching sun, his entire body changed brilliance and flames were released. Boom. The flames spread out, and when Lee's punch was intercepted, the audience's hearts shuddered very quickly. He can actually run half the field in an instant. The last person who could reach this kind of speed was only Crocodile, right? The teammates are not surprised. How can a fire horse blessed by Koalang be simple? The wings flapped, and the ball flew out. Liu Xin, fight. Liu Xin asked Dunjia to take action and shouted, "Dunjia, use a charged flame attack, let them see your explosive impact." Chapter 118 Dunjia vs the Rebel Crocodile. The entire body was covered in flames, and the shape of the torso could no longer be seen clearly, only the blazing fire. A pair of flaming eyes stared at the enemy in front of him, and the enlarged shadow hit the volleyball hard. The flames were very fast, swallowing and enveloping the entire volleyball. Armor-piercing fire, blessing. After the evolution of Dungia, the armor-piercing fire released also changed color, from an ordinary flame to a pale gold. Looking at it from a distance, it feels extraordinary, because the breath of fire cannot be felt. The opponent was extremely attentive, and the audience asked in surprise, "What kind of flame is that? What a strange color, and besides the high temperature, there seems to be something different from other flames. It's so magical." There was constant conversation, and then the volleyball turned into the body shape of the fireball was wrapped in 3 layers of flames inside and 3 outside. Hit the opponent hard. Counter Kumagoa said coldly, even a simple flame dares to attack. Rogue Crocodile, use Sand Splash. The Rogue Crocodile's attack method is obviously greater than that of the Gangster Crocodile. As its sharp claws move, the surrounding sand flies all over the sky, heading straight for the fireball. Just when everyone thought that the flames would be extinguished, the situation changed drastically. The sand was burned and annihilated, while the armor-piercing fire that fell continued to grow, and would never be destroyed, unless it was broken. Everyone was shocked. There were so many flames. Question mark? It rushed towards them with overwhelming force, and without much loss. Interesting. The opponents looked at the fireball with great interest. Takata calmly said, "Go ahead, don't touch this flame. There may be something wrong." His teammates were very smart and immediately discovered that something was wrong with the armor-piercing fire. Iron Palm Warrior, use your strength. The huge iron palm contained some energy, which quickly absorbed the airwaves and turned them into small storms. He shouted loudly, pushed hard, and sent the fireball back before it even touched him. The force was so great that Liu Xin and the others were shocked. Obviously, it is impossible for them to achieve extraordinary strength without practicing day and night. It's starting to get interesting. Your power is very interesting. The fireball that was pushed back exerted strong pressure, and the friction strengthened his own internal energy. The fire horse is worth 1,000 at once. The fire on its body blooms, and the fire dies out. It turned into 2 huge rains of fire that eroded and dispersed, beautiful and charming. The dense rain of fire was overwhelming, and pushed the ball back. Strange power, use 1 word slash. He quickly gave the order, with a bright light flashing in his hand. The green palm exuded a sharp edge and struck cleanly with every breath. It's more powerful than Gula Gula's 1 word slash, and has gone through thousands of tempers. Dungia was a little unhappy. His attack was repelled. Just now it was Lihuoma who was in the spotlight. The flames all over his body surged again, and Liu Xin roared, "Take this ball, Barlied." After gathering strength, the flames on his body turned into a huge fireball, swallowing and engulfing the entire volleyball in his breath. He could clearly see what was going on inside. What? Question mark? Kumagoa counter-narrowed his eyes and shouted, "Wide area defense, this ball is a bit strange." The next second he noticed the abnormality. The fireball exploded, and countless Barlides fell from the sky. The impact was no different from the meteorite produced by the thorny shell just now, but it was not so exaggerated. This should be a simplified version, right? Well, if the meteorite impact can be so intense, why does the opponent still have to play with it? The surface was filled with piercing fire. Where he stood still, a light layer of protection appearing on his skin, ensuring that they could withstand the many attacks that followed. At least for 1 round there were no problems. Boom. 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 There was a dull thumping sound and they were really being hit mercilessly, but they did not change or retreat at all and felt relaxed. The power kept increasing, and the impact was stronger, but they were still unharmed. When the smoke and dust cleared, their external energy dissipated, along with the immortal piercing fire. However, Kumagoa counter-laughed, because in front of them, the volleyball landed steadily, and the Barlied just now was just a bait. They focus too much on defense, and overlook the most essential aspect of volleyball, score. This is definitely the most unexpected result, and the game has only lasted for 7 minutes. But in 7 minutes, the 2 teams played back and forth, and did their best. 1:0 Eucora. I breathed a sigh of relief. There was a great relief at the beginning. The feeling of the final was different. The pressure was very strong. But I was far from expecting that. Not only Liu Xin, but also Otohei around him was a little outrageous. This flaming horse with wings alone is very surprising. Kautakuma smiled and said, I'm getting more and more interested in you, boy. Just get a point from me without using the crocodile. Just don't think about scoring with the barlight, because it won't work. Whaley served and directly used the borrowed force to kick the ball over. There were bursts of sound breaking through the air, roaring in your ears, and even before arriving, you could feel the powerful impact brought by the front end. This ball is very simple. Use 100,000 volts for Rangayang sheep. Kudo Shizu gave the order to Rangayang sheep to consume the ball before it gets close. Lightning fell from the sky and hit the volleyball without any effect, shattering every inch of it. Fire Horse. Use fire to strengthen electricity and sparks. Fire Horse sprayed forcefully, bursting out with beautiful flower-like flames, followed by 100,000 volts to form a rare thunder and fire impact. Bang! There was an explosion, and thunder and fire roared in all directions. The scene was extraordinary, and just as it happened, the ball got stuck in the net. At this moment, both sides have the opportunity to compete for the ball, and the opportunity to score arrives. Rogue Crocodile uses Dragon Claw. A bright light appeared on the nails, becoming longer and sharper, like a sword. He hit the volleyball directly in the air, but the moment he touched it, he felt an unprecedented resistance. The source of this resistance is the rounded Dungia, which is directly competing with the rogue crocodile in front of him for the ball. One left and one right, the two used all their strength in the air, intending to make the other party surrender. Flames surged, and the piercing fire instantly engulfed the entire bodies of Volleyball and Dungia. Rogue Crocodile was quickly incinerated, but he did not let go, roaring angrily. Rogue Crocodile. Dungia. Dungia was also unwilling to be left behind. The two roared and fought for that goal without giving in. Chapter 119. Challenges of the Fanged Land Shark. There is no retreat at all. They will defend this ball to the death. I cannot retreat. Both sides looked nervously at the two falling in the air, but the volleyballs in them showed no intention of leaning towards the other side. It's incredible. Both sides are holding on to the ball, and no one is willing to let go. It's simply a battle of skills and wisdom. Whose hands will win in the end? Along with the fierce competition, the passion of the audience grew even greater. They began to cheer, and both teams had their own support groups. The constant cheers made the two Pokémon want to compete even more. Bang! A loud impact occurred, the volleyball exploded, and the two boys were instantly knocked down. This is simply incredible. The impregnable volleyball exploded in the dispute. ? After the inspection, the referee judged, due to some inspection loopholes, an old ball was used. Moreover, due to the fierce competition between the two sides, it is normal for the ball to be damaged. It doesn't count, and the muscle team will serve again. Yes, the relationship between Dungia and Rogue Crocodile has been forged. They stared at each other, their eyes full of fighting intent and provocation, not caring about the strength of the other party. Liu Xin shook his head helplessly and said, "Next. I can't control this guy anymore. I used to be disobedient when I was a little elephant. Now that I have become a Dungia, my temper is even stronger, and it is stronger. It's hard to resist." Komakoma counter laughed and said, "Okay, good boy, you can actually make me, the rogue crocodile, so enthusiastic about fighting. Then try it, and have a good fight with him." The serve started, and the rogue crocodile began to act. With a vigorous and energetic style of play, Dungia stepped forward and directly counterattacked. The rogue crocodile's figure stepped out like a ghost and directly smashed violently. Dungia did not retreat at all. The two of them fought back and forth, not caring about the teammates behind them. The muscle team seems to have long been accustomed to this situation, as long as their captain likes it. As for Yu Kawasaki, was he dumbfounded? Team volleyball directly turned into a solo game. But she didn't care much. After all, she had a point firmly in her hand. As long as they could keep going like this, victory would belong to them. Beep. 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 When the whistle blew, the first battle ended. Dungia and Rogue Crocodile stood on opposite sides, panting, but there was a sense of sympathy for each other, as if they had never met before fighting. The first game was very intense and exciting. It opened our eyes and the level of surprise was much higher than before. especially afterwards, when it became the solos of Rogue Crocodile and Ungia. It was even more exciting. But in the end, either the beautiful female team scored a goal and won. After the first game, Dungia did not feel tired at all and was still burning with excitement, expressing her desire to fight. Liu Xin shook her head helplessly and said, "Let's continue playing later. It will be exhausted anyway." After that, we have to see if the opponent can withstand the impact of this meteorite. It will be used in the second game. All the companions nodded. There was plenty of time to rest in the first game, and there was no physical exertion. The same goes for the opponent, who simply watched the Rogue Crocodile and Dungia fight each other. At the beginning of the second game, Dungia and Rogue Crocodile continued to fight without saying a word. When 15 minutes came, both of them were exhausted and could no longer fight. Perhaps in order to give the opponent a step down, he decided to turn around and leave at the same time, ending the solo challenge. Then, next is the time for the official team battle. Liu Xin released his last Pokémon, come out, Fang Shark. Fang Shark had not come out for long, standing in the arena, roaring, venting his inner fighting spirit. Kautakuma releases a Boscodora. Boscodora is a large-sized monster-type Pokémon whose entire body is covered in hard armor. Its head and face were covered in silver armor, and a sharp horn extended outward from the top piece along its forehead. There were 2 pairs of holes on the forehead, and 2 long sharp horns protruded from the 2 holes on the front. The eyes are sky blue, there are 2 nostrils at the tip of the upper jaw, and several sharp tooth-like protrusions on the side of the mouth. Its neck and back were covered with silver armor, its shoulders had bulges, and its limbs were also covered with silver steel rings. The hands and feet had 3 fingers, and there is a long, thick black tail on the back. He was tall and peerless, and from a distance there was a strong sense of oppression. As the dust flew, everyone cheered. Boscodora can be said to be the symbol of the muscle team, both in strength and appearance. Roaring angrily, he unleashed a powerful sound wave that deafened both sides. The fanged land shark remained unmoved, staring coldly at the opponent, and making provocative movements. Both sides began to stare at their opponents. 20 minutes have passed in the second game. In the last 10 minutes, can a winner be determined? Now we can all see that both sides are ace characters and are starting to get serious. The spiny shell took the opportunity and launched a meteor impact that frightened everyone. Under the blue sky and daylight, the outside temperature is higher, so the impact is more terrifying, and the damage is naturally greater. No one can resist. It must be said that no one is willing to resist. But, for the muscular team, this is interesting. Use your energy to crazily weaken this ball, and finally let my Chief Cordora deal the final blow. The cooperation was distributed in an orderly manner, and all the Pokémon around them began to accumulate energy. The cyclone erupted with the waves. The speed was very fast, the attack power was fierce, and it was not weaker than the force falling from the air. Bang, bang, bang. It explodes like a firework, and every time it collides, it makes a roaring sound, which is harsh, and makes people feel hot at the same time. As if cheering up this battle, the unstoppable impact of the meteorite was knocked down, the surrounding flames scattered, and the force became weaker and weaker. The audience and Yachuan were all shocked. The impact of the hard steel meteorite was successful. His eyes were full of disbelief, and he took a deep breath, feeling unreal. It didn't become real until Boscadora's big hand firmly grabbed the volleyball and threw it out. A 1,000,000-ton punch. A fist as heavy as 1,000,000 tons hit the volleyball. At this moment, the volleyball could be seen denting and deforming, and it randomly hit the fang-bearing land shark with a roar of force. The targets were all the same, but the fang-bearing land shark did not dodge, but instead stood up to fight. Chapter 120 ends. The crisis returns. The land fang shark did not dodge, but accepted the challenge very calmly. With a sharp look in his eyes, Liu Xin gave the order. Sharp-toothed land shark uses the wrath of dragon scales. Immediately, layers of dragon scales appeared on the surface of the sharp-toothed land shark, and the power continued to pour out. He roared angrily. His eyes filled with red, and he entered a state of rage, with all aspects of his numerical values greatly increased. Liu Xin's eyes also turned blood red, and he said coldly, "Blood pupils." Invisibly, the thread of bondage between them was pulled, and they slowly came together. Boom. The dull sound of beating fell into Liu Xin's mind and heart. Is that the heartbeat of the Fang Shark? Suddenly, the blessing of his own blood pupil entered the body of the Fang Shark. The blood red light appears, and the power is endless, as if it will never be exhausted. With the double blessings of the rage plus the fury of the dragon scales, the sharp-toothed land shark at this moment has become extremely terrifying, and its combat power is astonishing. In terms of numerical value, it has reached the peak level and is unstoppable. Seeing the volleyball being dragged by a million-ton punch, he was very disdainful, and the dragon claws in his hands floated. Purple aurora. The dragon claws were covered with a faint purple light, and then paddled, making a harsh sound. Visible to the naked eye, the attack of the megaton punch was easily blocked and counterattacked. How is this possible? What an understatement. Quickly block before he could finish his words. The volleyball had already whistled past their ears and hit the sand forcefully. Fast. Too fast. And looking at the huge pit that crashed into the sand, they knew that the sharp-toothed land shark at this moment was too strong. The fanged land shark roared angrily, and the pressure emanating from all over his body was stronger than them. But that's what makes it interesting. Boscadora, take control of the ball. A powerful shot is launched, but does it work? There is no effect at all. Under such a blessing, the fanged land shark is as powerful as the undefeated god of war. Another goal. Another goal. Another goal. In just 3 minutes, fanged land shark scored 5 points in a row. The situation instantly tilted, resulting in a score difference of 5:1. Everyone was shocked. They originally thought that Liu Xin's strongest type would be the crocodile, Gala or Dungia at this moment. But the sharp-toothed land shark's attack made everyone petrified and numb on the spot. Is the gap too big? It directly crushed the opponent to draw. Although the Pokémon of the male team were ferocious, they were all prepared by Fang Shark to be submissive at this moment. The time has just come. The Fang Shark's skills and violent rage immediately ended, and it entered a state of confusion and exhaustion. It was absolutely impossible to continue fighting. A complete victory. You read that right. The Bishoujo Sentei won another round, and it was won by the Fang Shark's strong crush. The score between the two sides has reached 2:0. If the strongman team loses again, the championship will belong to the beautiful girl team. The strongman team is in a very bad state, and their strength is exhausted. Their main echelon basically couldn't fight anymore. The most terrible thing was that all of their Pokémon were hit by the Fang Shark. Brutal blows, unreasonable catches. Who can endure this? If it were any other Pokémon, they would have already left the competition in tears. Don't think so much. Liu Xin and the others are good opponents. Don't worry too much about victory. We just have to enjoy the game. After hearing this, the team members began to think, it's true. Anyway, the game doesn't have to be a winner, as long as you feel comfortable and happy. At the beginning of the third game, Liu Xin still didn't let go of the crocodile, but launched Gala. This can basically be said to be Liu Xin's favorite general, not to mention his strength and coordination. The change in mentality has caused the Macho Man team to pay more attention to coordination and joint offense. Liu Xin and the others also began to adopt a conservative attack method. They didn't know how to take the ball alone and put everything on their shoulders. After all, it was very unrealistic. Both sides relaxed, and there was no longer any tension between them. They were very harmonious. Finally, the final results came out. Liu Xin and the others won the championship, defeating the perennial champion team, the Muscle Man team. The rewards are very luxurious and can be spent anywhere in the entire Lamperky city for 1 day, and all expenses are borne by the official. Kautakuma patted Liu Xin on the shoulder and said, "Young man, we discovered a lot of different things in this duel with you. Compared to strength, we are better than you, but in terms of Pokémon training, we lost. You really taught us a good lesson. This is our contact information. If you have any problems in the future, please feel free to contact us." Watching them embark on the journey, Liu Xin couldn't help but smile. The bustling scene of the volleyball match had already cooled down, and when they realized it, it was already nighttime. Let's just say that the reward for this championship is comfort. You Kurosaki must have planned it a long time ago. I'll be exhausted by the end of the day. Itaguro lay in bed, pondering over the day's schedule. Eat, drink, and have fun everywhere, and visit the famous areas of Ramperky City. It was a very busy day, and a system notification rang in Liu Xin's mind. Congratulations to the host for winning the beach volleyball championship. Received 5 water repellent beads and a reward of 500 points. Was rewarded with water repellent beads based on his face. Is it considered good or bad luck? Waterproof beads can be used by yourself or given to Pokémon. After using them, you can move and breathe freely in the water. It seems to work well, but it has a limited range. Liu Xin didn't pay much attention and gradually fell into a deep sleep. There was a noise, a clamor. Daylight also entered, and Liu Xin slowly opened his eyes, wondering, what time is it now? Why does it feel so noisy outside? Itaguro sensed the movement, slowly got up, and followed Liu Xin without paying much attention. I guess there are some activities today. Anyway, it's none of our business. It's almost time to pack up and leave here, heading to Xian City. Unfortunately, her wishes did not come true. It's not that simple. Suddenly, the alarm sounded throughout the hotel. Dear travelers, please be advised that there is an unprecedented disturbance outside. Please stay in the room quietly and do not move at will. I repeat. Chapter 121 Crazy Invasion. What happened? Everyone was awakened by the sound of the alarm, and a group of people ran to the window to take a look. The waves in the distance were rising high, creating a stormy sea. Immediately, familiar faces and clothes appeared in their eyes. It's Team Rocket again. What are they doing here? Itaguro asked very sadly. Nothing good would happen if they appeared, let alone at this time. The trainers have already started fighting on the other side of the waves, but the situation is very unfavorable. The waves washed and invaded relentlessly, retreating again and again. They had no way to fight each other in the waves. The rockets are different. There is a machine behind them that continuously applies inexplicable openings to them so that they are not afraid of the seawater, but instead become more powerful. The situation is not very clear, and they are still approaching their residential area step by step. Moriang and the other two quickly gathered in Liu Xin's room. Yukora Hayaki quickly saw the situation and whispered, if this continues, our side will definitely not be an opponent, and will be forced to retreat. In their own way, the Pokémon around them will also be plundered. Hatsukura Rai and Moriang were shocked when they recalled the scene they saw in the basement. If the Pokémon is caught, what will happen to it, right? How long will it take for reinforcement to arrive? Liu Xin asked tentatively. Yuchan checked the internet. All of these things were clearly recorded on the internet. It seems like they planned it a long time ago. It's the same as everything else. It's far from as simple as he imagined. The rockets in front of us are so powerful that it's not that simple to force them back. The most important thing is the machine behind you. That machine continuously delivers energy and protects the enemy Pokémon. So now, if the war situation is to change, that machine must be overcome. If you can't get rid of it, it will all be in vain. Ding, the host triggers a mission to destroy the water energy device and crush Team Rocket's conspiracy. After completing the task, you will get to lucky draw opportunities and a reward of 1000 points. The system has never issued any tasks before, and Liu Xin thought that there would be no tasks. It seems that everything is just overthinking, but that hasn't touched him yet. The spread of the wave was too fast, and the speed of coverage and invasion scared everyone. Unable to stop it, it was already heading towards the residential area. The seawater was washing over the streets. Although it wasn't very deep, when I looked at it from the restaurant, I found out, when I went down, that the water at this time was already 4 to 5 meters deep. An adult would have to sink. The most terrible thing is that in the seawater, those Team Rocket guys are blessed by machines, and are very shameless. Use skills to shape the terrain, but unfortunately, it has no effect. Destroy those shaping methods for me, and then invade this city like crazy. Lampulky City has developed very well in recent years. Our rocket's funds depend on this operation. Without the command of the great leader, Team Rocket is everywhere, divided and working on their own. Therefore, they act even more aggressively, not caring what will happen to the guys above, or what will happen to the righteous people. Looting and occupying is their instinct. You guys stay here, I'll go check out the situation. Don't act rashly, the situation is very dangerous now. After Liu Xin warned, he immediately ran downstairs. Originally, Ankamori and the others wanted to follow them, but Itaguro and Sakigawa stopped them at the same time and calmly said, "We can't help Liu Xin at all, and we may even cause trouble. There are things to do now." Liu Xin released her Pokémon and asked them to use water repellent beads, and she used her 5 water repellent beads. As for the gangster, she stayed in the hotel to protect everyone. With the strength of the bastard crocodile, dealing with those guys won't be a problem. Itaguro and the others quickly caught up with the gangster crocodile, and sure enough, the Team Rocket members had already invaded the hotel. So far, no seawater has arrived, which is good for them. Leave the matter in the water to Liu Xin, and we will be responsible for dealing with these guys. Itohei released the fire horse, galloped with fire, and burned the command. Moriang Xiang and Hatsukura AI nodded and joined the battle. Liu Xin and his Pokémon gently fell into the water. It was really surprising that they could walk on flat ground in the sea. The 4 Pokémon surrounding him were extremely excited, but soon the Team Rocket members discovered it. This kid can hold his breath very well, kill him. All the rockets and the people guarding the city simply thought that Liu Xin was good at 6, but they realized that they were wrong when they actually fought. Although they are blessed by machines, it doesn't mean that their strength has increased, it just makes it easier for them to move in the sea. Compared with the water avoiding beads, the machine is obviously lagging behind and doesn't stand out. Seeing them slowly hitting, Liu Xin said with surprise in his heart, "It can work. Their movements and attacks are not very good. Big rock snake, give them a tail flick. Water, it moved freely without any obstruction." Boom. The nearby telephone pole was hit, and the Team Rocket who came to respond was instantly knocked down. This scene was seen by people from Team Rocket. They felt that Liu Xin was not that simple, and shouted, "Get reinforcement immediately, and kill that kid." Liu Xin said confidently, "Come on, the more people come, the better. Their attacks will be more or less affected by resistance, and the strength of the blow will be reduced by several points. This is an opportunity, a good time for Liu Xin to use water avoiding beads to solve them." "Miss Junsha, right? Liu Xin asked me to tell you that she will find a way to destroy that machine, so she tries to attract the enemy's attention and combat effectiveness." Itaguro subdued the invading rocket team, immediately found Junsha and spoke to her, explained the situation. Only then did Miss Junsha realize that the fight that had just broken out was caused by Liu Xin, and shouted, "Everyone fight back, press on. The water Pokémon is still not close." They shook their heads and said, "I don't know why, but this machine has the characteristic of repelling water-type Pokémon. Water-type Pokémon can't get close at all." Losing ground. This time the battle is water-type. Chapter 122, Provoking and Attracting Hatred. It seems that the rockets are well prepared this time. First of all, this machine can create a proprietary battlefield for them, allowing them to swim like a fish in the sea. Although movement is also subject to certain restrictions and weakening, for the helpless guards it is an absolutely certain gain, but not a loss. The second is the most disgusting part of the entire machine, and it is also the point that completely tilts the situation towards them. It excludes the use of water-type Pokémon. Regardless of whether you have a single type or multi-type water, as long as it contains water-type Pokémon, you will not be able to get close to it. Thus, it was formed that the guards were suppressed and beaten. If you hit them on the shore, it will still have some effect, but what about when the huge tsunami begins? Obviously this tsunami was also planned, and it is rare to see such a scale. It happened so quickly and suddenly that it was completely unexpected, causing action and prevention to slow down. This time I was completely manipulated, and the initiative was completely seized. However, Liu Xin is really amazing. He can move freely in the seawater, so we can only rely on him. Rockets. He began to feel a little overwhelming. The number was too much. The number of people guarding the instrument was at least 200 or 300. Bring them here in batches. At this time they had already finished fishing and fled, and there was no way to destroy and capture them. After all, they don't have much in mind when it comes to wreaking havoc so crazily. They are just doing it for money. So now that they have made a lot of money, they can leave at any time so as not to waste time foolishly. Liu Xin gritted his teeth and said, "Are we going to force our way through?" Under such circumstances, if we force our way through, there won't be any chance. The difference in strength values is a little big. Attacking casually or rashly will only cause huge damage to yourself. The fight continued around him, and as he thought, the fight never stopped. Electric shock. It's a pity that there is seawater everywhere, and the conductivity is too strong, so the guards don't dare to use it casually. This is obviously impossible and unrealistic. The Rockets discovered the problem, and said in a cold voice, "If you want to capture that child, it will probably cost you a lot, so give up. Anyway, our mission this time is not to take care of this child. We can make enough money and leave." Rockets. The team stopped calling people and started stealing property, ignoring Liu Xin. They distinguish the main purpose and the secondary purpose very clearly. It's just that Liu Xin's face is ugly. If they continue to snatch it like this, they can completely leave. It is estimated that in 10 minutes it will flow into another ocean and fly away. What will happen if the mission fails? The system didn't say, but the reward this time is not simple. 3 lottery chances. Plus I have accumulated a lot of points recently. It is a good day to double the points. No matter what, the mission must be completed and no one can stop it. It was soon noticed that the movement of this machine depended on the tires, and the tires did not seem to have much protection. There are many rocks and gravel around. After all, they are wreaking havoc. Use quicksand held together. Completely seal the escape route of this machine and delay its actions. Ground-type Pokémon can't exert much combat effectiveness in water, and it's even harder to use attack skills. However, they are completely different when equipped with water-repelling beads. Even when fighting underwater, they have a certain skill damage bonus and their strength is greatly increased. Click. The entire team stopped for a moment, and the leader who took the lead left the area and almost drowned. He came back and said, "What's wrong? You suddenly stopped leaving? You almost drowned me. We don't have much time left." His complaint was interrupted by his subordinates, and they only discovered the problem when he came back to his senses. See him in person. With murderous intent, he looked at Liu Xin. "It's this kid again. He clearly didn't intend to cause you trouble before, but now he's trying to get us into trouble again. Do you really think that we tigers are just sick cats if we don't show our power? That's great. Change direction and catch him." Just do that, and the entire Team Rocket followed the machine towards Liu Xin. Liu Xin saw that all the level of hatred was on him, and said with a confident smile, "I knew it would be like this, but it's a pity that your speed is not as fast as mine. Having experienced the golden light transformation and the red light transformation, your physical fitness has already changed for ordinary people. When running, the speed is faster than the movement of a machine." "No, so fast? Is this guy a fish?" From time to time, you still turn around and mock them. How can you endure this? Chase. Go at full speed. I don't believe that hundreds of people can't kill a little boy. Kurosaki and the others had been standing guard between the 2 corridors for a long time, looking at the sea water below them, and said helplessly, "Why are they asking us to stay here? They are building walls. Is it possible that the rockets will come here again? They were arranged here by Tohei. Liu Xin will go here in a few minutes, and they must be intercepted here. Junsha is blocking the way from behind, trying to catch a turtle in a jar." When I complained and didn't believe it, the sea water slid into the distance and the waves swept through. The huge machine came slowly. I didn't feel it when I saw it from a tall building before. Now I took a closer look and realized that this machine was not simple. The sea water is 4 to 5 meters high, and the machine is even taller, at least 7 meters high. The entire body is wrapped in metal, and the walls are made of copper and iron, which is extremely strong. It's really hard to destroy it. Liu Xin shouted, "Start the plan." At the same time, hundreds of Pokémon began to act according to the previously imagined situation. Although there were many unexpected situations, it was enough. The machine hit the high wall in front of me without any inclination, making a loud noise. Cracks began to appear. Repair. Then move away. Don't gather here anymore. Takayang recovered in a breath, and then all the trainers fled and took shelter, so as not to be disturbed by this group of Team Rockets. Liu Xin stepped aside and said with a faint smile, "Do you want to leave now? Not just earthen walls, but huge pits." Although it was not very big, it was enough for the machine to dent one side, and then the hole continued to widen. They took a closer look and realized that it was Liu Xin's Pokémon that was causing trouble. "Gan, you won't let us go, right? Then activate the backup plan." The red light flashed, and a harsh sound came from the machine, and Liu Xin's expression suddenly changed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, Repeating Old Tricks Without Respecting Martial Ethics. The red light flashed, and the noise grew louder. Liu Xin quickly retreated with his Pokémon. The machine began to change, or it was an unexpected change, and a variety of offensive weapons slowly appeared inside it. The machine quickly focused on Liu Xin and the 4 Pokémon around him. The target is locked, and the attack begins. "I didn't want to use this kind of armed force, but you are like a fly and bother me. Then, disappear for me." On command, crazy attacks were launched, including missiles, grenades, bullets, and grenades. In an instant, the sea area in front of him was devoured by bombs and gunshots. Battles continued one after another. Junshu and the others were in the rear, waiting for their opponents, but they saw the flames of war burning. What is going on? The sound of the bomb there was so terrifying that no one would ignore it. It was so terrifying. But the guards did not dare to approach at all. They didn't have the means or tools to resist this kind of power, and would have undoubtedly died in the past. After Moriang Xiang and the others retreated to safety, they looked at the war-torn area with worry in their eyes. Itaguro comforted him. "That guy is just like Xiao Qiang. He will never die. We just have to protect ourselves, and we can't let him worry." The buildings continued to collapse, ruins one after another, and the scene in front of them was frantically cleaned up, making one's scalp numb. Liu Xin wasn't seriously injured, but there were many small wounds on his body, which still dealt great damage. As for his Pokémon, they are faster than him, disperse faster, and can protect themselves more easily. The smoke cleared and the machine began to cool down. It was absolutely impossible to continue firing. The leader smiled confidently. "No one can survive such an attack, let alone a little child. It's over. Let's break through this wall and leave. There must be someone waiting for us behind." Their most powerful method was completely wasted on Liu Xin. How can they use it to break through with the others? Therefore, it is more practical to leave through the path in front of you. The wall is thick, but it can't withstand multiple consecutive attacks. At this moment, the ground beneath their feet suddenly collapsed. 4 Pokémon slowly appeared, and they were all Liu Xin's Pokémon. Liu Xin slowly walked out and sneered. "Although their armed attacks are powerful, they are too scattered. I already ran away far away before they started. Can this person be faster than the gun can be activated?" But Liu Xin did. When the first bullet was fired, he immediately dodged it. As long as you leave this area, you will suffer much less damage. His 4 Pokémon dug holes and left directly, so they did not suffer much damage. When the wind and waves calmed down, they dug holes directly under the machine's feet. As long as the opponent's actions became violent, collapse was inevitable. Go on, kill him. I don't believe that so many people can't kill him. But Liu Xin took a step back, walked to a place, and said firmly, "This is the farthest protection range of your machine, right? So, are you coming to fight me? One more thing, I'm actually quite good at building earth walls." Earth walls began to appear in all directions, and the holes in their underground areas grew bigger and bigger. Now Liu Xin is eating them to death. The numerical advantage and terrain advantage brought by the machine had disappeared. Liu Xin only needs to wait for time, but there is another task, which is to destroy the machine. So, I have to find a way to destroy that thing. Destroying that thing is not as simple as talking about it. You must know that the machine's appearance is made of copper and iron walls, which are extremely hard and difficult to break. Although the piercing fire was effective, it had little effect in the end. It is very unrealistic and unreasonable to use this to burn something huge that is 7 to 8 meters in diameter and 5 to 6 meters in diameter. Liu Xin looked at the ruined houses around him, and suddenly an idea occurred to him. The leader ordered angrily, "Ignore this kid, just leave. There is not much time left. Remember this kid's appearance. I will definitely take revenge in the future. He actually ruined the grand event we had planned for months." Now, all the Rockets members present remember Liu Xin's appearance. A kid with little strength trapped them here. The brutal force began to break through the defenses, and although he was now trapped in a pit, it was still possible to work hard, rushing hard, intending to force a way out. It's just that the road ahead is full of obstacles, with a large number of people and advanced weapons, and it also takes a long time. Liu Xin smiled slightly and said, "Farewell everyone. Do it." The Pokémon began to move, and the power in his body began to increase. Liu Xin's eyes turned blood red, and blood pupils began to appear. The rampage begins. It can add a violent state to the Pokémon in the battle state. There are currently 4 Pokémon. Boom. The red light flashed. The Fang Shark had already experienced the violent terror last time, and there was endless power in its body, constantly emerging. But the other 3 people around me found it very new, but they quickly accepted it. This is a good thing. The flames all over Dunjaya's body increased, at least 7 points higher. The seawater began to boil, and the piercing fire spread. It is endless, and can burn even in seawater. However, the moment the piercing fire was activated, the machine emitted a blue light, as if responding. It stopped working. What's going on? What's wrong with this machine? Is it broken? But the staff working on the internal operation shook their heads. It was simply that the power core suddenly stopped. When all the Team Rocket members were confused, debris began to fall, and rocks fell one after another. They are not small and their targets are the Team Rocket members who are trapped in the giant pit. No, not good. The leader shouted, "All defense, this guy's really ruthless. Also, protect the machine." But he forgot that the machine was turned off at that moment and everything had stopped working, including the self-defense system. Gala Gala used a bone stick to knock down the surrounding stones. Looking at Team Rocket in the stone pit, he felt that this scene seemed familiar. Isn't this the situation when I first met Liu Xin? He was then beaten unconscious and arrested like this. It's true that nature is easy to change, and this guy is still very cunning. Chapter 124 The Second Extraterrestrial Meteorite. Water. Gala Gala looked helplessly at Team Rocket in the giant pit, crying silently in her heart. This is how it was solved in the first place, and these guys are no exception. What's more, the rocks they are using now are still so terrifying that they can't kill anyone. With the help of Pokémon, they escaped, but what about the machines around them? At that moment, it was so damaged that it was impossible to move. Damn it. The leader gritted his teeth, dispersed the smoke, and looked at Liu Xin with a smile on his face, feeling resentful in his heart. But what can he do? There is absolutely nothing that can be done about this guy. Who knows how this guy and 4 other ground-type Pokémon managed to feel more comfortable in the water than water-type Pokémon. Anyway, no matter how many heads he has, he can't figure out the reason. Now the machine is damaged, the combat effectiveness is weakened, and he is still trapped in the pit. It is really a time when heaven and earth do not respond and earth do not work. No matter how many people there are, the time has come. We will set out immediately. After we set out, we will be able to escape from as many people as we can. As the saying goes, there will be no need to worry about it. We don't have firewood to burn the mountains. The foundation of our rockets will not be destroyed. Just let them go. He quickly made up his mind and took action to break through the surrounding rocks. Liu Xin was still watching from a distance, applying pressure from time to time. After all, he still has a second mission that he has yet to complete. Only when they are stopped and brought to justice can the mission be considered completed. A whistle sounded from behind, which obviously meant that reinforcement were coming. They were all familiar faces, Miss Junsha from Kuai City and the captain and his group. When the captain saw Liu Xin's figure and the masterpiece in front of him, He laughed and said, I really don't know what to say about you. You seem to be Team Rocket's enemy. With you here, Team Rocket's mission will be completed. I definitely won't survive. You're really going to piss me off. Everyone was ready to set up the capture devices and start arresting the rockets in front of them. More than 200 people were arrested, and no one was able to escape. Fortunately, Liu Xin took action and recovered most of the losses. Except for the severe impact in many places, there are basically no problems. Liu Xin, right? Okay, you're very good. If you offend our rockets, you won't have a good life. I don't believe it. Does it hurt or not? These words have long been accustomed to him, and if he really wants to end his own existence, he still has to queue up. After stretching, everything was finally settled. The system's voice in his mind sounded, congratulations to the host for completing the task, and he will be rewarded with 2 lottery chances and 1000 points. Liu Xin took a closer look at his points. He already had 2500 savings, and he needed to double them when he had time. After the so-called power core was removed from the machine, the Dungia flames around him were a little out of control. His eyes looked icy blue, as if attracted by the meteorite. Liu Xin and Gullah Gullah looked at each other and saw each other's intentions. It was exactly the same as the special meteorite I saw in Viridian Forest at that time, but the color and aura it gave off were different. Water attribute energy meteorite. This is the meteorite that caused Dungia to mutate. Unexpectedly, I saw the fire attribute before, but now I see the water attribute. Dungia was also attracted by it. It seemed that there was an inseparable connection between the meteorite and the mutated Pokémon. Liu Xin stepped forward and said, I'm sorry, Captain, can you show me this stone? Dungia seems to like this stone very much. The captain looked at the blue meteorite, which was about the same size. Liu Xin nodded and said with a smile, that's no problem, of course. After all, you are a big contributor to this incident. No matter what you say, no reward is enough. Go ahead and take a look. I'll clean up the scene. It's really inconvenient to move back and forth, but I can use water type Pokémon before. It seems that the reason why water type Pokémon couldn't be used before was because of this meteorite. Is this its characteristic? It's as if the fire attributed meteorite in the special energy area gave it piercing properties. Piercing fire. The screams of his companions came from a distance. Hatsukura Ai and Moriaxiang were very worried about Liu Xin. After seeing that the matter was resolved, he immediately went to Liu Xin. No one expected that the blue crocodile and the giant claw crab would be directly blocked outside and hit a thick invisible wall. What's going on? The blue crocodile and the giant crab were dumbfounded. There was clearly a smooth road in front of them, so why couldn't they break through it? There is something blocking them, and the force is not small enough to break through. Just like the guardians who fought back then, he can't use water type Pokémon. Moriaxiang asked cautiously, is the battle not over yet? Liu Xin explained, keep them away, because this meteorite makes water type Pokémon inaccessible. Sure enough, as long as it is a water type Pokémon, Camu will be blocked. They closely observed the meteorite in Liu Xin's hand, which exuded a faint blue glow, and praised, it's so beautiful. The color is like the deep sea, it's really charming. Yuchen touched the meteorite early, and it's cold. A chill spread, making her. She couldn't help but shrink her hand, taken by surprise. On the contrary, Liu Xin laughed and said, it's really cold, isn't it? I always feel that it exudes a strong power. However, it's not good to touch it casually. At the same time, Itokuro beside him had been touching it for a long time. His face was full of doubting, and he asked doubtfully, is it exactly the same meteorite we saw when we went to the special energy area? It seems that I have seen it before. Everyone knows what this stone is. Combined with the previous behavior of the Rockets duo, it is estimated that the Rockets members are collecting extraterrestrial meteorites everywhere. Just look at the effects of this operation and the meteorite from outer space. It can be seen how useful it is, right? Dungia was fascinated and looked at him in a daze. Dungia, can you still absorb the energy of this extraterrestrial meteorite? Liu Xin was a little unsure. After all, the mutated Pokémon is a new existence. Dungia quickly nodded, with a look of excitement and expectation in his eyes. He doesn't even know what it will become, but you will know after trying it. After fixing his nose on the meteorite, a bright light flashed, and strange things happened. Chapter 125 Blue Fire, Farewell. After Dungia touched the meteorite, the flames all over his body rose up, even more intense than usual. It was so strong that Liu Xin had only seen it last time, when his attributes were stimulated, and his anger ignited, but he had never seen it before. Did you become stronger after touching this water-based meteorite? No way. Will it be enhanced? Is there really such a good thing? Think about it. For Dungia, these extraterrestrial meteorites do not have the same attributes. Normally, the bonus should not be big. It can even be said that both the fire attribute and the earth attribute conflict with it, which is quite contradictory. Liu Xin took a deep breath. Will it cause any danger or adverse effects? Although he seemed unhappy that his Pokémon was disobedient, he was very worried about it in his heart. He would never let any of his Pokémon get into trouble or be in danger. Not before, not now, not in the future. He sees the situation before him and immediately acts if anything goes wrong. Dungia's flames gradually began to appear light blue, and cold air spread out. Is it possible that the armor-piercing fire has been absorbed? No, armor-breaking fire is very easy to use, and Liu Xin is extremely satisfied with it. If the armor-piercing fire disappears, it will be a huge loss and a huge blow to Dungia. This did not happen. The blue flame only lasted for 2 or 3 minutes before it disappeared, and Dungia returned to normal. On the surface, there didn't seem to be any change. Itaguro said in surprise. Did it just randomly change color? I thought there were some major changes or improvements, but is this what Itaguro planned to touch Dungia? But nothing happened. Thinking that he was not close yet, a cold air spread out, causing him to immediately shrink his hands. A small ice mark appeared on Dungia's forehead, which was quite delicate. Liu Xin began to observe Dungia's panel, and indeed there was a change. The attributes in all aspects have been improved, and there is an additional skill. Blue Fire. What kind of attack is this? After using it, Dungia's flame will definitely turn blue. That's easy to understand. What's the effect? The effect appeared quickly, and Liu Xin was a little surprised when he saw it. It's quite understandable. It has similar functions to meteorites. The flame turns blue and can be used to form a defense to resist attacks, and it has an annihilating effect on water-based attacks. It's unknown how thick the shield is, but one thing is very obvious, that is, it's absolutely super effective against water-type attacks. Although it's a defensive method, it's not very effective. Moriangxiang was a little strange. Why did Dungia's flames turn blue? Is it possible that Dungia still has water attributes now? Liu Xin shook his head and said, it's not that outrageous. I just learned a defensive method from it. It seems that, if we get the alien meteorite in the future, it will be of great use to Dungia. Obviously, mutant Pokémon are not as simple as imagined. After delivering the meteorite to the police station, he was praised again. Junsha from Lamperki City was a little surprised when she heard the people from Kuai City talk about Liu Xin's deeds, and looked at the boy in front of her. Really? Are you sure you didn't trick me? However, if it weren't for Liu Xin's help in this incident, Langpur City would have suffered heavy losses and a large amount of property. I know what the situation was in Kuai City, but Langpur City witnessed the Pookie incident with their own eyes. It can be said that the rocket's operation was well organized and well planned, which caught them by surprise. If Liu Xin hadn't taken action, he would have failed long ago and would have been driven away by Team Rocket. If this happened, Rampa would not only suffer heavy losses, but the police would also lose face. From all aspects, Liu Xin must be thanked. We don't have anything in Lamperki City, so it's hard to get rewards in return. We'll reward you with some financial items. After all, this is a tourist city and doesn't attach much importance to Pokémon training. In terms of funding, they are really generous. At least they won't have to worry about funding issues in the years to come. Because they give out so many and all kinds of coupons, I will definitely feel superior to others when I come to Lamperki City in the future the next day. Basically, everything here has been resolved and all the sea water has been diverted into the sea. The restoration project started slowly, and thanks to abundant funds and help from many parties, 80% of the work was quickly restored. As for Liu Xin, he said goodbye to Yukona's AOG. I just intend to become a citizen of Lamperky City, so I have no intention of taking risks. You must work hard and work hard. Yukona's AOG said goodbye to the team and watched them head to the set destination, Xian City. In fact, they had already developed a relationship with Yukona Saki after spending a week together here. Hatsukura Rei took a difficult step, lowered her head and said shyly, "Sister Yukona, I will miss you, goodbye." Yes, it's good progress. Isn't it possible to do it if you want? Holding Chucho and AI's head, she encouraged him, work hard, slowly overcome this social fear and let your charm bloom. Xiaoxiang, you have to work harder. You are always so arrogant that you can be defeated. Someone snatched it from you. After saying that, she looked at Liu Xin with a smile. Moriang Xiang's face turned red, and she said jokingly, "Humph, that's nonsense. Sister Yukona, if you feel lonely, you can call us. Communication is always open." She muttered these words. Kudo Shizu hugged Yukona Saki and said with a smile, "Thanks to your care for the past 7 days, I've been having a lot of fun." Yukona Saki patted Kudo Shizu's little head and said, "It's great to always be so small and cute. Ah, touch it, hey, don't touch it so much, you won't grow up. Besides, I still have chance to grow up, definitely." Apparently Kudo Shizu wasn't very satisfied with her little Lalita figure, so she parted ways with Yukona Heihachi, blushing a little. Itaguro looked at him and said, "Isn't it good? I just like little Lalita. By the way, Sister Yukona, let's hug each other after saying goodbye." Yukona Saki directly hit him and urged, "Go, hurry up and go my way. Remember, Kit, don't be so careless, and show Liu Xin that piece of wood properly." Itohei looked at the stupid Liu Xin and sighed, "I have a headache because of this too. There's nothing you can do." The two of them looked at each other and smiled bitterly, and finally, they completely disappeared from Yukona Saki's sight. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.